And yet, someone could directly absorb the sacred stone's energy. The elder ordered them to hunt down this anomaly, to be dealt with by extreme torture. Such an individual could not be allowed to exist. When Rua, with a cunning look, proposed, "Domain Lord, someone who can so easily absorb the gem's power must have extraordinary abilities. If we capture him alive for study, we might make a special discovery." Seeing the logic, the old man waved his hand. "This task is yours. Bring him to me alive. I want to see for myself what kind of power he possesses." To directly absorb the energy of the sacred gem. Accepting the command, the crow on Wenru's shoulder flapped its wings, ready for the hunt. Meanwhile, Qin Nan had returned to his residence, where everyone was waiting. The Yu spoke up. "Qin Nan, you're back." Jin Xiaoshan, still in shock, quickly asked, "Brother Qin, did you see that light just now?" "What the earth is happening?" Qin Nan, not wanting to reveal his secret, simply shrugged and lied. "I'm not sure, but I know tonight will not be peaceful." He thought to himself, "They can't discover. I was cultivating upstairs. I must hide the power of the 5 elements." The moment he finished speaking, a violent knock thundered at the gate. "Everyone inside. Get out here now." Qin Nan was startled. "Have I been discovered so quickly?" Xiaoshan stormed to the door, fuming. "Let's see who dares to be so arrogant." He opened it to find a woman and 2 men. The muscular man with a tiger head tattoo barked his command. "We've taken a liking to your house. Hand over the room card if you know what's good for you." Faced with this aggression, Yin Lua wasn't scared. She yelled, "Who are you people? By what right do you demand this?" One of the men in purple pointed a finger right in her face. "A feisty little girl. I'll enjoy teaching you a lesson first." Jin Xiaoshan quickly whispered to Qin Nan, "Qin Nan, they're not to be trifled with." "You asked who they are?" Xiaoshan explained. "The 2 in purple. The man is Du Yu. The woman is Du Liuli. They are the purple bear twin killers of the Poison Dragon Palace. They work in perfect harmony. From what I recall, at the last assembly, their cultivation is likely at the 4th level demigod realm." Qin Nan found this odd. Shouldn't the factions in the 10,000 Sectus assembly be able to send 3 representatives? Why did the Poison Dragon Palace only send 2? Xiaoshan whispered again. The Domain Lord ruled that the bottom 10 factions could send 3 as an exception. But the Poison Dragon Palace was so confident they only sent these 2. Qin Nan nodded. "So that's how it is." Xiaoshan continued his introduction. "That brute is Hulong, rank 75 in the 10th War Zone. He represents the Huxiao Heavenly Alliance. I hear he's an elder-level figure. His strength is immense, and his cultivation is at the 6th level demigod realm." He then turned to Hulong. "Brother Hu, these 3 are from the Dark Brilliance Divine Palace. Hardly worth mentioning. Among these 6, the strongest are just these 3 kids from the Qintian Sword Alliance." He then added, "A moment ago, ... that powerful surge of spiritual energy flew towards this house. There must be a treasure inside that attracted the sacred stone's energy. If we seize this treasure before the city's experts arrive, we'll have struck gold." Hearing this, Hulong's face lit up with greed. "Excellent. Very good." He laughed and turned to Qin Nan's group. "If you refuse to be reasonable, then don't blame us for being ruthless." Yin Lua was ready to charge in for a bloody fight, but she still glanced at her captain. "Qin Nan, they want to fight. Should we take them on?" Qin Nan tapped her on the head. "Take them on with what? Can't you see their cultivation is higher than ours?" Defying everyone's expectations, Qin Nan walked forward with a bright smile. "Everyone, this room is a gift from us. Please, accept it. I just said we couldn't mess with them. And now?" Xiaoshin yelled. "Qin Nan, we can't just hand over such an expensive place. This house is worth 6 Origin Yang pills." But in his heart, he was scheming. "If Qin Nan can get rid of these people for me, that'll be one less rival to worry about later." Hearing Qin Nan offer up the house, Hulong was ecstatic. "Kid, You know your place. Now all of you, get lost. Seeing Qin Nan was firm in his decision, Xiaoshan sighed. This Qin Nan is a true coward who fears death. If the 6 of us fought together, we could definitely hold our own against them. He shot a glance at Huang Chun, a plan already forming. Understanding the signal, Yuan Chun spoke up. Qin Nan, there are more of us. Why should we be afraid? Qin Nan just smiled lightly, paying them no mind. He simply waved his hand. Let's go. The Yu had to console Yin Luo, who was sulking on the ground. All right, that's enough. Just listen to Qin Nan. Seeing Qin Nan was determined to leave, Yuan Chun turned to shout, Old Jin, is this the Qin Nan you valued so much? He's nothing special. Scared, so After Qin Nan's group was gone, Xiaoshan's group revealed their true colors. Qin Nan didn't fall for the bait. I didn't expect him to be such a coward, Xiaoshan said. Yuan Chun replied, the plan was to use Qin Nan as a scapegoat. Who knew the kid would be so useless? We provoked him that much, and he still wouldn't fight. He'll be of no use when the assembly begins. Yuan Chun added, it's a pity, brother. Jin helped him repair his weapon. It's fine. What kind of trouble can a mere mortal from the lower realms possibly cause? It's just a shame, said Jin Xiaoshan. I originally wanted to use Qin Nan's hand to take care of the people from the Poison Dragon Palace. A short distance away, Yin Luo was still fuming. She confronted Qin Nan. Why were you so cowardly back there? Didn't you say this world runs on the strength of one's fist? He turned back to explain. This world does indeed run on the law of the fist. But sometimes, taking a strategic retreat can achieve things. ... That brute force alone never could. She didn't understand it all, and argued, what is that supposed to mean? Speak like a normal person. Seeing his friend's brain wasn't catching on, the Yu had to act as the interpreter. What Qin Nan means is, the sacred stone on the mountain tower emitted a strange light earlier. A beam of spiritual energy flew directly to our residence. The experts in the inner city will undoubtedly send people to investigate. If we continued to clash with the Poison Dragon Palace and the Huxia Heavenly Alliance, we could have been captured by those experts. Forget participating in the assembly. We might have gotten caught in this storm. We'd be lucky to escape with our lives. Now, she understood why Qin Nan willingly gave up the house to them. Seeing that someone understood his 200 IQ plan, Qin Nan was delighted. The Yu is the only one who understands me. At this moment, Yin Luo's mind finally cleared. Her attitude shifted completely. I get it now. We let the Poison Dragon Palace and the Huxiao Heavenly Alliance fight over the house. And when the time comes, they're the ones the masters will investigate, leaving our hands completely clean. Qin Nan nodded slowly. Good. You've finally grasped the situation. The Yu urged them, enough talk. We need to leave now, before more trouble finds us. The others agreed, in unison. Right? Let's move. Meanwhile, back at the stolen residence, its new occupants were tearing the place apart, searching for treasure. A treasure that existed only in their greedy imaginations. After ransacking the entire house to no avail, Hu Long roared in frustration. Damn it all! Why isn't there a single valuable item to be found? Yuzi also voiced his suspicion. This is strange. If there are no treasures in this room, could one of the 6 from before have the ability to directly absorb the glazed sacred stone's energy? Luli immediately shot down the idea. What nonsense are you spouting? If any of us possessed that kind of immense power, do you think we'd still be stuck in a bottom-tier faction? We'd have reached the first battle sector long ago. Try using your head for once. Stung by the insult, Hu Long slammed his fist on the table in a rage. I don't care. I'm going to find out what's really going on here. Suddenly, the roof exploded inward with a thunderous crash. Looking up, they saw 5 figures hovering in the sky. 4 of them descended, surrounding the trio in an instant. When Ruo had arrived, he asked the 3 below, his voice like ice, which of you can directly absorb the sacred stone's energy from the spire? At the sight of him, the 2 from the Poison Dragon Palace were immediately paralyzed with fear, but Hulong, whose arrogance far outweighed his intellect, remained defiant. He pointed a finger at Wenrui and yelled, "And just who the hell are you? You think a little entrance like that can scare me?" Yuzi stared at the stranger's appearance, the blood draining from his face as he trembled. The deep purple and black robes. The crow perched on his shoulder. "Could you be the Abyss Lord's personal god, Jia Wenru?" The moment he confirmed the man's identity, Yuzi scrambled to prostrate himself on the ground. He pleaded, in terror, "Mercy, my lord. Please, spare our lives. We are nothing but worthless cultivators from the 10th battle sector. We couldn't possibly have the ability to directly absorb the sacred stone's energy." Liu Li hastily chimed in. That's right. How could worthless trash like us possess such a power? Even if we did, we would never dare to oppose the abyss." Still oblivious to Wenru's terrifying reputation, Hulong remained arrogant. Seeing his cowardly teammates, he bellowed, "Pathetic. You two might be trash, but I'm not." He then pointed directly at Wenru's face and sneered, "Who do you think you are? The Abyss Lord's god is nothing more than his dog. What gives you the right to be so high and mighty?" Hearing these words, Wenrui remained utterly calm. Truly, the ignorant know no fear. The crow on his shoulder stared intently at Hulong, its eyes glowing a menacing crimson. Wenru's voice dropped to a deadly whisper. "And my favorite pastime is to silently erase the ignorant from existence." The instant he spoke, a stream of dark power shot from the crow, piercing straight through Hulong's chest. The attack was so fast, he couldn't even react. All he felt was an empty void where his heart used to be. A gut-wrenching scream of agony tore from his throat. The crow flew swiftly back to its master's shoulder, when Ruo gently stroked its head as he praised it. The taste of a fool's heart. It must have been exquisite, wouldn't you say? Hulong's lifeless body collapsed to the floor, leaving Liu Li and Yuzi frozen in absolute horror. Terrified he would be next, Yuzi began kowtowing frantically. "My lord, spare us. We stole this residence from another group. The one who can absorb the sacred stone's energy. The one who offended the Abyss Lord. It must be one of them." When Ru's interest was piqued, and who might they be? Petrified Yuzi spilled everything in a terrified rush. 3 from the Dark Radiance Divine Palace, and another 3 from the Qintian Sword Alliance. If my lord doubts my words, you can easily verify the information in the city's public records. ... About the purchase of this residence. When Rueo looked down at the 2 groveling figures. "Find their location and report it to me. Do this, and I will grant you the chance to live." Hearing they might survive, the 2 were overjoyed and agreed immediately. "Yes, my lord! We will find them without fail and deliver them into your hands." His business concluded, when Ruao and his 4 masked attendants departed. Watching them disappear into the distance, Luli was still trembling. "Yuzi, what do we do now? We are in grave danger." Yuzi, however, tried to calm her. "What's there to panic about? All we need to do is help Jia when Ruel find those people. By doing so, we will have rendered him a great service." Luli was skeptical. "Is that really how it works?" Yuzi's expression was cool and calculated. "Trust me, if we can get into his good graces, ... we might even get an audience with the Abyss Lord himself and receive unimaginable rewards." At that thought, Liu Li's spirits finally lifted. "All right, I'll follow your lead." The next morning, the Yu was having breakfast when she asked Qin Nan, "The 10,000 sects assembly officially begins in 5 days. What are your plans for the free time? Until then?" He sat across from her and replied with calm composure, "I intend to reclaim the art of alchemy that I once cast aside. If I can master the alchemy of this divine realm, it will not only enhance our strength, but will at least be able to survive in this sacred city." But in his heart, he held an even greater ambition. He planned to find a chance to absorb more of the sacred stone's energy from the spire. With its power, his cultivation realm might finally break through. The Yu listened in amazement. "Qin Nan, you knew alchemy before." She thought to herself, Alchemists are incredibly respected in this realm. I never would have guessed that Qin Nan was one. A short while later, Qin Nan made his way to the city square. As he approached a particular shop, he could hear countless people gossiping. I heard that today. The master of the alchemy pavilion ... double quotes ... will personally appear to choose an alchemy assistant. Not only will you be paid handsomely, you might even receive personal instruction from the master himself. Yuan Yang is the main currency in this Yuan Yang sacred city. If you could receive the pavilion master's guidance, you could certainly refine a massive amount ... of Yuan Yang pills. You'd be rich beyond your wildest dreams. A different voice cut in. How naive. The master isn't looking for just anyone. He only accepts 1 in 10,000 alchemy geniuses with a special constitution. What makes you two? Nobody think you have a chance. The young man who was insulted strode forward, enraged and ready to fight. You've got a big mouth. Let's see you. Back it up. The fan-wielding man wasn't intimidated in the slightest. Duel? Very well. Who's afraid? Of whom? And with that, the two of them began to brawl. Qin Nan could only shake his head and walk past them. He muttered to himself, why are there so many brainless fools fighting everywhere? Suddenly, Qin Nan was forced to stop. Yu was blocking his path. Well now, isn't this one of the cultivators from the Dark Radiance Divine Palace? What a coincidence, Luli added, stepping up beside him. Kid, you're coming with us. Seeing the troublesome duo, Qin Nan spoke calmly. Jin Tianshou has introduced me to your kind before. You're the twin fiends of the Poison Dragon Palace. Poison Yu and Poison Liu Li. Am I right? Yu puffed out his chest arrogantly. That's right. So you've heard of our glorious reputation, have you? Boy, scared. Are you? Qin Nan looked utterly bored. If you want a duel, then wait for the 10th Sector's tournament in 5 days. I don't have time for this today, he thought to himself. I must get into the alchemy pavilion quickly. If I can receive guidance from the pavilion master, double quotes ... I can rapidly master the alchemy techniques of the divine realm. Liu Li saw Qin Nan as an easy target and schemed to capture him first. From him, they could force out the locations of his 2 sect members, as well as the whereabouts of the 3 from the Qin Tian Sword Alliance. Yu said nothing more. It was time for action. He brandished his weapon, signaling his comrade to attack, but Qin Nan reacted in a flash, his sword deflecting the projectile. He thought to himself, now that the Burning Heaven sword is a supreme treasure. Its durability has been massively upgraded. Liu Li avoided a direct clash, circling behind her opponent. Who are you looking at? She taunted. Qin Nan immediately analyzed the situation. Ziyu attacks from range, while Liu Li specializes in close-quarters assassination. Worthy of their title, the Twin Killers. Their coordination is perfect. But now, just like them, I've reached the ... 4th level of the quasi-god realm. I have no reason to fear them. Let's test the true power of the Burning Heaven sword. Now that it has evolved into an imperial-grade spirit treasure, Qin Nan unleashed his technique. The heaven-plundering sword art. The crowd was stunned into silence. Even Liu Li, who was parrying his attack, looked on in horror. This power ... is immense. Unable to withstand the blow, she was sent flying by Qin Nan's assault. Her partner watched from the side, seething with rage. Damn it! Is this the true strength a disciple from the Dark Radiance Divine Palace should possess? Impossible! In a rush, Qin Nan goaded them. Hurry up! After this, I have to get to the Pill Pavilion. He was running out of time and couldn't afford to drag this out. The pavilion master might have already chosen an assistant. If that happens, it'll all be for nothing. The man rushed to Liu Li's side, who was gravely wounded. He had to admit defeat. Fine. You have skill, boy. Defeated by someone ranked lower than him, he spat out a threat as he left. Just you wait for me. Once we find some backup, you're going to suffer. At least, that didn't take too long. Qin Nan scoffed. They nearly made me miss my important event. He finally stepped inside the pill pavilion, finding the hall already packed to the brim. A crowd had gathered around the main stage, buzzing with anticipation. Where is the pavilion master? Why isn't she here? A pill-refining genius like me can't be kept waiting. Another person cut in. Forget your prodigy talk. I'm the real #1 alchemy talent. A genius that appears once in 10,000 years. A peerless prodigy. A person on the stage finally raised their voice. The pavilion master will be here shortly. Please be quiet. And from above, a figure gently floated down. It was a woman of breathtaking, ethereal beauty. The entire crowd stared, completely mesmerized. The whispers immediately started again. I never imagined the pavilion master would be a woman. She's unbelievably gorgeous. The woman on stage made an announcement. Today, the Inner City Pill Pavilion is recruiting an alchemy assistant. The one chosen for this position, double quotes, ... will be personally taught the ways of alchemy by me. Hearing this, the crowd went absolutely wild. Oh my gods! To be taught alchemy by a goddess like her, that would be so blissful, I'd faint from happiness. I'd be satisfied just to be in her presence and breathe the same air. The woman then presented an item. This is a testing crystal. It can detect whether a martial artist's body has a special constitution suitable for practicing alchemy in the god realm. ... or not. At her words, the crowd surged forward chaotically. Heavens! I'm absolutely an alchemy prodigy. Let me try! That peerless beauty belongs to me. Qin Nan watched the pandemonium, feeling disheartened. Most of these people are only here for her beauty, not for the actual competition. He then found himself resting his chin on his hand, studying her. But her beauty is truly captivating enough to topple nations. Unfortunately, his gaze was caught by the woman herself. She turned her head sharply and let out a cold snort. I only glanced for a moment, and she noticed. Qin Nan broke out in a cold sweat, thinking, I'm doomed, judging by the loathing in her eyes. ... She must think I'm just some lustful pervert. While he was lost in thought, someone tapped his shoulder. It was Jin. Well. If it isn't Brother Qin, are you also here hoping to become a God Realm alchemist? No, Qin Nan answered. I'm just here to watch. Inwardly, however, he was repulsed. He made such a scene about us being even, and now he's actively trying to talk to me. Is there something wrong with this guy? Huang Juan, standing beside him, with her hands on her hips, added scornfully. Someone from the lower realms like you actually dares to show up and learn alchemy? The short man, Bushi, added his own sarcastic jab. You can't put it that way. Even pigs dream of climbing trees, so why can't Qin Nan dream of learning alchemy? Hearing this, Xiaoshan and Huang Xuan howled with laughter. Huang Juan gasped, Boo! You're absolutely right. Their taunts made Qin Nan's blood boil. But he kept his composure and responded to Jin Sha. I am grateful for the favor you did when you repaired the burning heaven sword for me. I won't stoop to your level, but I hope you and your friends can show a little restraint. Xiaoshan just used it as another chance to sound high and mighty. He replied, You don't need to be grateful. Consider the burning heaven sword a gift of charity. Putting a poor beggar like you in his place makes me happy. His ego was so massive, it was almost unbelievable. He clearly had no idea who the real pathetic one was. Seeing his unbearable arrogance, Qin Nan silently lifted the sword, his voice dropping to a freezing tone. If that's how you want it. ... Jin Shaoshan grinned slyly and asked, What? You want to fight me here? This is the Pill Pavilion. At this point, Qin Nan had reached his limit. He decided to settle things right then and there. Everyone expected him to attack Xiaoshan, but instead, with a single, devastating bare-handed strike, Qin Nan ... shattered the sword into countless fragments. The pieces rained down onto the floor, leaving the onlookers completely stunned. Seeing his gift destroyed, Xiaoshan exploded with rage. his face contorted with fury as he screamed, "You, Qin Nan, you dare shatter the very blade I personally repaired and infused with my own spirit for you." Qin Nan no longer held back. He looked Shushin dead in the eye, his voice cold and hard. "Just like you said, From this moment on, we are even. The favor of you repairing the burning heaven sword never happened. And another thing, don't you ever again, mention repairing the burning heaven sword in front of me. The very thought of it disgusts me." With that final word, he casually tossed the hilt to the ground and turned his back with commanding authority. Xiaoshan stood there, still fuming, and continued to hurl insults. That damn lower realm. Trash. What a pretentious act. Seeing that her friend was about to lose it, Huang Xuan quickly went to his side. And tried to console him. "Come on, Jin. Don't waste your anger on that lower realm garbage. Remember why we're here at the Pill Pavilion. You're the greatest smit in our Qinshan Sword Alliance. Plus. You possess the innate spirit fire, the Finley spirit flame. You absolutely have what it takes to become a God Realm alchemist." Boo. She jumped in to flatter him as well. "That's right, brother Jin. If you become a God Realm alchemist, our Qinshan Sword Alliance's ranking, double quotes, will definitely shoot into the top 10 on the 10th Warzone's ranking board. Why waste your attention on some nobody from the lower realms?" After being buttered up by his two cronies, Xiaoshan's confidence returned. He cleared his throat and declared, "HMPH. You two are right. Qin Nan is just a lowlife from the lower realms, part of a faction that's dead last in the rankings. Someone like him is the lowest of the low. Indeed, there's no reason to waste my anger on him." And with that, the three of them strutted confidently towards the crystal to take the test. Shoutian gazed at the heavens, radiating a confidence as if he were the center of the universe. "With this test, I will surely win the master's favor." Following the script perfectly, he strode to the crystal. An unshakable confidence etched on his face. A wave of power began to emanate from him. It was enough to make the woman on the dais acknowledge his extreme polar spirit flame, a spirit fire perfectly suited for alchemy. This gave him another chance to boast before the test. "I'll have to trouble the master for her personal guidance in the future." He then solemnly placed his hand on the crystal. A torrent of spirit flame immediately engulfed the orb. But life isn't always a dream. 1 second passed. Then 2. The crystal offered no response. Tian's confident expression dissolved into confusion, and his confusion spiraled into utter panic. It was a humiliating slap in the face. What a pointless display of confidence. Impossible. The surrounding crowd gasped in astonishment. If one possessed a special constitution, the white quartz was supposed to change color. But it was painfully obvious this man had no special talent. The woman on the dais spoke up to confirm it. If one lacks a special constitution, the white quartz would show a different hue. Clearly, this man possessed no special physique at all. The words "no special constitution" and does not meet the requirements echoed in his mind like a mocking song. Yet he remained frozen in place, stubbornly refusing to leave. The gears in his brain ground to a halt. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. I am Jin Xiaoshan, the #1 disciple of the Qintian Sword Alliance, the very hope of my sect. Even when I placed in the top 10 of the 10th War Zone, they fought to recruit a genius like me. How could I possibly lack a special constitution? Seeing him rooted to the spot, the woman had to remind him, "Please make way for the next person. Do not disrupt the normal order of the Alchemy Pavilion." Seeing his stubbornness, she had to issue a threat. "If you insist on disrupting the normal order, I will report you to the guards. The golden armor of the sacred city will eject you." Hearing this, he finally snapped back to reality, quickly bowed his head, and scurried away. Just as he turned, he ran right into Qin Nan. Despite the immense humiliation, he still tried to save face. "Qin Nan, If a genius like me couldn't pass this trial, then a piece of trash like you shouldn't even dream of it. Looking at his rival's pathetic state, Qin Nan felt an immense satisfaction. His main character, aura, shining brightly. He answered with a confident smirk. Is that so? Then I'm afraid you're about to be disappointed. With that, he stepped forward, shooting the traitor a condescending glance. He walked decisively to the crystal and placed his hand on it. The woman sized up Qin Nan, her inner thoughts passing judgment. 4th level of the quasi-god realm. There's nothing special about him. Furthermore, he's from the 10th war zone. All these factors combined prove this man has little to no hope. At first, the crystal remained perfectly still. It was enough to make Qin Nan break out in a cold sweat. Shoutian, standing behind him, seized the chance to mock him. There's no reaction from the test stone at all. It proves you have no special constitution. You worthless scum from the lower realms. Stop embarrassing yourself. But in the very next second, as Qin Nan relaxed his body, a shocking reversal turned the tables completely. The crystal suddenly erupted with a brilliant, multicolored light. The woman on the dais was so stunned, her jaw dropped. He actually possesses all 5 elemental colors. When Shoutian saw this, he couldn't believe his eyes. He pointed a trembling finger at Qin Nan and screamed, "Impossible! Qin Nan, you lowly peasant from the lower realms. How could you have a special constitution? Impossible." Huang Chun, who stood in the crowd, was petrified. Even Jin Shaoshan couldn't pass the exam, yet some nobody from the lower realms, from the dark luster divine palace, surpassed him. How is that even logical? Bushi simply crossed his arms and thought, so this is all Jin Shaoshan amounts to. He can't even compare to someone from the lower realms. At that moment, the woman on the dais solemnly announced, "You have passed the examination. From now on, you will be an alchemy assistant in my alchemy pavilion. I will personally instruct you in the art of God realm alchemy." Hearing this, Qin Nan bowed respectfully. "Then I will be in the master's care." But as he lowered his head, a triumphant smile spread across his lips. In his mind, he thought, my 5 Elements Physique is truly considered one of the special constitutions of the God realm, not just some power from the Tianyan continent. If I can successfully learn the alchemy of the God realm, then I'll finally have a firm foothold in this primal sun sacred city. The lady on the dais announced again, "Everyone may disperse now. The recruitment for the Alchemy Pavilion's assistant has officially concluded." The surrounding crowd grumbled with envy and regret. What? Rotten luck. Some guy from the lower realms actually passed. And he even gets personal instruction from the beautiful master herself. It's infuriating just to think about it. Exactly. All the best treasures in the city are snatched up by nobodies. The joyous atmosphere was instantly frozen solid when Wen Rue appeared at the entrance. He was flanked by Du Yuexi and Du Liuli, his 2 menacing subordinates. The moment they saw Wen Rue, the entire crowd panicked, stammering his name before scattering like a disturbed beehive, screaming as they fled the pavilion. The god of slaughter is here. Run for your lives. As he entered, someone pointed directly at Qin Nan, reporting to Wen Rue. That man, Qin Nan, is from the Dark Luster Divine Palace. He then gestured behind Qin Nan and continued, and those 3 are from the Qintian Sword Alliance. All of them were present at the residence on that night. When Ruo gave a simple command, his voice as cold as ice. Excellent. Seize every last one of them. Immediately, his subordinates surged forward. Qin Nan watched in alarm, his heart pounding as he wondered, could it be that the secret of me absorbing the energy of the sacred city has been exposed? Just at this critical moment, the pavilion master appeared to intervene. Captain of the guard, what is the meaning of arresting people inside my alchemy pavilion? When Rueo put on a sincere facade, Lady Yuxian, this man is connected to the absorption of the sacred stone's energy. The domain lord himself has ordered their arrest. I ask for your cooperation. But the woman stood firm, protecting her new subordinate. She said, "As I recall, the domain lord once promised me that he would not interfere with the internal affairs of my alchemy pavilion. when Ruo countered, "The sacred stone is the most precious and divine treasure in our primal sun. Sacred domain. Its value surpasses that of any individual. Lady Yuxian, surely you understand this. Now that the sacred city's energy has been compromised, even you would have to come with me obediently if you fell under suspicion." Finally, the female elder made her decision. If you must arrest someone, then take those three. Qin Nan, however, must remain here. Wenru's brow furrowed. "And you think that is possible?" The lady was no pushover and laid out her reasoning. "Captain of the guard, you must be aware that all the medicinal pills the Domain Lord consumes daily are refined by my alchemy pavilion. This Qin Nan just passed the alchemy assistant exam, and I need him to assist me in an urgent refinement. If the Domain Lord's supply of pills is delayed, I imagine even you, Captain, would find it difficult to escape responsibility." No. When Ru's eyes narrowed on Qin Nan, his mind instantly analyzing the newcomer, a mere boy from the lower realms, and a member of the Dark Brilliance God Palace at that. How could someone with such pathetic strength possibly pass the Alchemist Pavilion's trial? As the thought crossed his mind, he moved with terrifying speed. Before Qin Nan could even react, a hand was already wrapped around his throat. Even the crow on Wenru's shoulder radiated a deadly aura. Qin Nan was inwardly shocked. The man's speed was so blindingly fast, he hadn't stood a chance. Up close, Wenru's gaze pierced through him. He scanned him from head to toe, as if searching for something, and then he found it. This boy's body. It was a Five Elements Physique. Suddenly, he released his grip, letting out a dominant laugh. "Interesting. How very interesting," he declared, then ordered his Blood Shadow Guards to seize the other three. The Blood Shadow Guards immediately locked onto Shou, Tian and Jianming, unleashing a suffocating, killing intent. In moments, all three were captured. Shou, Tian couldn't help but scream, "Have the heavens gone blind? What crime did we commit? By what right do you arrest us? And if you're taking us, why spare Qin Nan? He's clearly just a lowly peasant from the lower realms. You should have taken him first." Annoyed by his incessant whining, the guards dragged him away without another word. As when Ruo turned his back, Qin Nan seized the opportunity to strike. But when Ru's reflexes were inhuman, he effortlessly blocked the punch. With his other hand, Qin Nan summoned his broken sword, swinging a fatal blow. When Rue parried with ease, but he hadn't expected this. A single lock of his hair had been severed. Fury blazed in his eyes, blood vessels turning them red as he growled, "Very good, very good." Then he snarled, "Are you trying to die?" The crow on his shoulder suddenly flew over to Qin Nan's, its eyes glowing with a crimson killing intent. It felt as if it could pierce right through his skull. Fear crept into Qin Nan's heart, but he stood his ground. "You grabbed my throat," he stated, "so I naturally had to return the favor." Hearing this, Wenruo knocked the sword from his hand and praised him. "I admire your spirit. I hope you can survive tomorrow's battle in the 10th war zone." With that, he and the crow vanished into a cloud of black smoke. Pavilion Master Yuxian frowned and asked, "Do you realize you were just a breath away from death?" A chill ran down Qin Nan's spine, just thinking about it. "I know," he replied. "The moment that crow landed on my shoulder, I could feel death's embrace." To his surprise, she smiled. "But I also admire your courage. To face such a powerful enemy without flinching, and to even dare to strike back." Flattered by the praise, Qin Nan smiled back. "To be praised by the master of the Alchemist Pavilion is a great honor." She turned away, her tone becoming serious again. "All right, the pavilion has a grave task ahead of us, and I must move quickly. I need to teach you the art of alchemy in this god realm. Follow me." As they walked toward the alchemy chamber, Qin Nan suddenly asked, "I heard you mention something earlier. All of the Domain Lord's daily elixirs are refined by the Alchemist Pavilion. You said the task is now heavier. Does this mean the Domain Lord has run into some trouble?" At his question, she bristled. "What are you implying?" He quickly waved his hands to explain. "My apologies. I'm used to overthinking things and speaking out of turn. Please forgive my impertinence, Pavilion Master. Watching her back, Qin Nan thought to himself, even when she's angry, a woman this beautiful is still frightening. It was as if she could hear his thoughts. What you shouldn't be prying into, you'd best leave alone, she warned coldly. Otherwise, whether you'll live to see tomorrow, is highly uncertain. Soon, they arrived. As she walked, her voice was like ice. This is the alchemy chamber. I must teach you the way of alchemy in the shortest time possible. She pushed the door open, turned back to Qin Nan, and continued her cold instruction. Before the grand assembly of 10,000 sects, you must help me refine enough elixirs for the domain. Lord, if the quantity is insufficient when the time comes, it won't just be me who faces his wrath. You will share the punishment. With those final words, they stepped inside. Before them stood a massive 8 trigrams cauldron. She glanced at Qin Nan, her voice sharp. So, I expect you to take this seriously. Understood. With a look of grim determination, Qin Nan replied. Understood. I will do my utmost to learn. But 3 men were already seated inside the room. Seeing Qin Nan, they looked at him with utter disdain. The bearded man spoke first. So this is him, the new alchemy assistant, the one the Pavilion Master personally recruited. The red-haired man sneered. I heard he's from the lower realms. Has the standard for our alchemist pavilion truly fallen this low? Even someone from the lower realms can become an assistant. The bearded man glared at Qin Nan. We have no choice. These are special times. Just endure it. Pavilion Master Yuxian suddenly remembered something. She turned to Qin Nan. Have you practiced alchemy in the lower realms? Qin Nan scratched his head and replied, I have. She stopped, turning to face him fully to begin her lesson. The greatest difference between alchemy in the God realm and the lower realms is quantity. In your lower continent, due to the scarcity of heavenly treasures, each batch of pills yields only a few, a dozen at most. But in the God realm, treasures are abundant. Every batch, refined in a cauldron, can produce tens or even more than 100 pills. Qin Nan was stunned. That many, he thought. Does that mean those people back in the dark, Brilliance God Palace were swallowing dozens of pills at a time? She continued. Because the quantity is so large. The drain on an alchemist's spiritual power, is immense. Even high-level alchemists can completely exhaust their spiritual energy reserves. During refinement and completely depleting one's spiritual energy is an incredibly dangerous state. To avoid this, the alchemists of the God realm devised a new method. Using one's spiritual force to refine pills can drastically reduce the consumption of spiritual energy. Having explained, she approached the 8 trigrams cauldron. Come, I will demonstrate personally. Observe carefully how to refine the Orajiang pill. She closed her eyes, gathering her power. 3 crimson mineral stones. 6 Lul spring seeds, violet heartgrass. As she spoke, the ingredients needed for the origin, Yang pill, flew into the cauldron. Each one landed in its precise position. The 8 trigrams cauldron began to hum with power. Keeping her eyes closed, she explained calmly, the flame is already prepared within the cauldron. Next is the most critical step. You must use your spiritual force to control the flame, refining the medicinal ingredients into a liquid essence. You can imagine it like this. You yourself are the cauldron. The ingredients within are your food. And what you must do is digest this food and absorb it as your own. Following her guidance, Qin Nan closed his eyes, envisioning 2 forces, one of fire, one of ice, slowly harmonizing within him. In a flash, enlightenment struck. So that's how it works, he exclaimed. Imagine the body as the furnace, transmuting herbs into a liquid essence, then condensing that essence into a pill. Suddenly, the Bagua cauldron began to tremble violently. A dense, fragrant smoke billowed out. With a surge of her energy, Monsieur Xian lifted the lid. and a river of perfectly formed pills streamed into the air. They flew in a perfect arc into the gourd flask she had prepared. Once it was done, she turned to Qin Nan to envision the body as a furnace. Your words just now held profound meaning. Your talent for alchemy is truly heaven-defying. Qin Nan beamed. It's all thanks to the Pavilion Master's excellent teaching. Hearing this, Miss Yuxian materialized a stone in her hand. After I demonstrate once, she said sternly, it will be your turn to refine the pills yourself. But before you begin, I must assess the level of your spiritual sense. Seeing the familiar stone, Qin Nan grew curious. Is this a talisman stone for testing spiritual sense? I've used one before. She replied, indeed. In the God realm, to become an alchemist, your spiritual sense must be at least level 50. Naturally, the higher the better. A stronger spiritual sense allows you to refine pills of a much higher quality. She held the stone out to Qin Nan. All right, place your hand on it. He quickly did so, closing his eyes in concentration. The onlookers in the room began to stir. The man in pink started it. Come on, let's make a wager. 20 origin yang pills are on the line. Let's guess the spiritual sense level of this mortal. The great-robed man immediately answered, fine. I bet he's only at level 30. The man in pink scoffed, level 30. That's far too high. A piece of trash from the Darklight Divine Palace, and a mortal at that. He'll be level 25 at most. The bearded man scowled. HMPH. This kind of waste only got into the alchemy pavilion because of his special constitution. His pathetic spiritual sense could never have earned him a spot. The man in pink added, exactly. Mortals have never been qualified to enter the alchemy pavilion. He just got incredibly lucky. Just then, the stone in Qin Nan's hand exploded with a blinding light. Miss Yuxian was stunned, thinking, this level of spiritual intensity ... The men in pink and gray stared, their faces darkening in utter disbelief. Miss Yuxian herself cried out, level 80. It's actually level 80. The gray-robed man finally snapped out of his stupor, shouting, gods! Someone from the 10th war zone, from the weakest mortal realm, has a spiritual sense of 84. Am I going insane? Is this guy even human? He quickly turned to the other. You have to understand, the Pavilion Master's level is around 100-something, and this guy is already over 80. The man in pink paled at the thought. If we give him more time, won't he surpass even the Pavilion Master? Meanwhile, Qin Nan held the stone, thinking to himself, back at the 12th level of the demigod realm, my spiritual sense was only... Now, at the 4th level of the quasi-god realm, it has reached 8. It seems that as my cultivation rises, my spiritual sense grows along with it. She suddenly praised him. Excellent. With a spiritual sense of this level, you are fully qualified to become an alchemist of the god realm. Hearing this, he clenched his fist and smiled. With the Pavilion Master's confirmation, I can finally rest easy. He raised his arms in triumph, dreaming of a bright future as an alchemist. Getting my hands on those origin yang pills will no longer be a problem. My days of being dirt poor are finally over. Mr. Xian then announced, next, you will refine the pills yourself. The moment of truth had arrived. He stepped before the Bagua cauldron, knelt down, and began channeling his energy for the refinement. The other two started whispering again. All right, let's place another wager. Let's see if this guy can actually refine the origin yang pills. He may have a special constitution and high spiritual sense, but what he lacks most right now is experience in alchemy. I'll bet he can refine 10 pills at most. You're being far too generous. He has 0 experience with God Realm alchemy, a naive mortal from a lower realm. I bet he fails to produce even a single pill. Meanwhile, Qin Nan was completely focused, forming hand seals to guide the ingredients into the cauldron. He closed his eyes, murmuring, imagine the body as the furnace, transforming herbs into essence, ... Good! The ingredients have all liquefied. Next is to condense the essence into pills. As he spoke, the materials in the cauldron began to bubble and fuse, soon forming brilliant, dazzling golden pills. Qin Nan's eyes snapped open as he shouted, "Pills formed!" Seeing the light from the Bagua cauldron, Miss Yushan gasped, "Such an intense golden radiance! This is the sign that high-quality pills have been born." Qin Nan swiftly changed his hand seals, using a flask to collect them. He turned to her. Ecstatic. "Pavilion Master, I succeeded." She clapped lightly, maintaining her composure. Very good. But inside, a storm was raging. To refine top-grade origin yang pills on his first try in the God Realm. This person's talent cannot be described as merely exceptional. He is a true monster. With that thought, she took out a token and presented it to him. "Congratulations on passing the test. You are now an official alchemist of the Alchemy Pavilion. This is your identity token. It will serve as proof of your status." Qin Nan quickly accepted it, admiring the craftsmanship. "Many thanks, Pavilion Master." "Pavilion Master, you mentioned the Domain Lord needs a large number of pills. Is there anything I can do?" Miss Yuxian crossed her arms, her tone serious. "The task from the Domain Lord this time is immense. We need 1,000 Origin Yang pills and 100 Xuanmen pills. You and the other alchemists will be responsible for refining the 1,000 Origin Yang pills. I will handle the Xuanmen pills myself." Qin Nan turned to the others, bowing respectfully. "Everyone, I look forward to working with you." The bearded man looked at him and faked a cough. Likewise, but in his heart, he seethed. "No matter how powerful you become, you're still just a lowly mortal from a lower realm. HMP." Miss Yuxian gave her orders. "I am going to refine the Xuanmen pills. You all focus on the Origin Yang pills." With that, she turned and departed. The crowd quickly bowed in respect. "Yes, Pavilion Master." After she left, everyone returned to their work. Qin Nan's mind started racing. Why does the Domain Lord suddenly need so many pills? Could it be that his strength has been damaged? If so, my path to revenge just became much simpler. But underestimating an opponent is the greatest taboo for a warrior. I must gather more intelligence. With that thought, Qin Nan turned to the girl beside him. "Excuse me, beautiful. May I ask you something?" "Model." Hearing him call her beauty, the woman eagerly turned around, and Qin Nan froze on the spot. Heavens above! It was a chiseled, masculine face, framed by a thick, bushy beard. The shock was absolutely surreal. Qin Nan wanted to scream for help, but he quickly glanced away, scratching his head. It's nothing." She moved closer, grabbing his shoulders and shaking him violently. "You just said I was beautiful. That counts." Then, the beauty looked at him with glowing, meaningful eyes, lowering her head with a bashful blush. You have to say it one more time." Qin Nan's face went pale. His eyes widened as he stammered, beauty. Internally, he was screaming, "How is her grip so powerful?" After receiving the compliment, the beauty immediately released him, clenching her fists and shouting with joy. "Wonderful! Wonderful! Finally, someone has called me beautiful." Standing beside her, Qin Nan could only let out a quiet sigh of relief. The beauty suddenly smiled and asked, "All right, what did you want to know?" Qin Nan quickly leaned in and whispered, "Do you know why the Domain Lord needs such a large quantity of pills?" The beauty was stunned. "You don't know. Asking that kind of question will get your head chopped off." But then, her attitude did a complete 180. As she smiled, "However, since you praised me, I'll tell you. I heard that last time. Someone absorbed a portion of energy from the sacred stone on the spire. The Domain Lord must constantly replenish his spiritual energy, so his only choice is to increase the number of pills he consumes." Qin Nan was filled with doubt. "Wait a minute! What does this sacred stone have to do with the Domain Lord?" The beauty looked surprised. "You seriously don't know. The Domain Lord can directly absorb spiritual energy from the sacred stone. That's a secret everyone in the entire Origin Sun Sacred City already knows." Qin Nan stroked his chin and smiled. "So that's how it is." He thought to himself, The Domain Lord needs to absorb energy from the sacred stone. And I'm the one who absorbed a part of that stone's energy. That's why he has to consume a massive amount of pills to make up for the spiritual energy he's missing. The beauty looked at the 8 trigrams furnace with a bored expression. Enough talking. Let's get back to refining. After we finish this batch of pills, I have to personally deliver them to the Domain Lord. What a drag! Hearing this, Qin Nan lowered his head and smiled. A personal delivery to the Domain Lord. Is it? He glanced towards the door with a grin. This is about to get interesting. Elsewhere, a man sat engrossed in a book. Below him, a white-haired subordinate knelt respectfully. Lord Jia, what should we do with the 3 members from the Qin Heavenly Sword Alliance? One of the 3 captives pleaded urgently. My lord, you must have the wrong people. We haven't done anything wrong. The woman in green added. That's right. We are law-abiding citizens. We would never do anything to endanger the sacred city or the Domain Lord. Without looking up from his book, the man spoke with a grave tone. You can live, but you must promise me one thing. The man in yellow immediately declared, whatever you ask, my lord, we will absolutely do it. The man's gaze lowered, his voice a commanding presence. The 3 of you from the Qin Sword Alliance, double quotes, will cooperate with the 2 experts from the Poison Dragon Hole during the 10,000 secs. Battle in the 10th war zone 5 days from now. And you will kill Qin Nan. Can you do it? He asked, his cold eyes fixed on the 3 captives. The man in yellow, though shocked, spoke with conviction. Qin Nan, we can absolutely do it. We will kill him without fail. He smirked to himself, thinking, Qin Nan, so what if you got into the pill pavilion? In the end, you're still destined to die. The man in charge hid his delight. Good. You have made the correct choice, saving your own lives. With a wave of his hand, he used his energy to release their bonds. He then picked up a pill, his voice turning cold. These are 5 heart-burning pills. Consuming them will boost your cultivation realm for a short period. If you fail to kill Qin Nan, you know the consequences. He stroked a black crow on the table as he spoke. The group cupped their hands respectfully. Yes, my lord. 4 days passed in a flash. Qin Nan had refined a massive amount of pills. The beauty clapped her hands cheerfully. 1,000 Origin Sun pills. We've finally finished. Qin Nan stared thoughtfully at the 8 trigrams furnace. I've been refining Origin Sun pills for 4 straight days, and each batch yields fewer pills than the last. No wonder the pill pavilion has so many alchemists and needs to recruit assistants. Even with a high level of spiritual power, refining like this is completely draining. Lady Yuxian entered and called the beauty over, whispering, my side has also finished refining 100 profound gate pills. Ru Hua. As usual, you will deliver this batch to the Domain Lord. The beauty replied happily, yes, ma'am. After giving her instructions, she turned to the assistants. You have all worked hard. You may go to the Pill Pavilion's supervisor to receive your payment. It will be 20 Origin Sun pills. The crowd cheered in unison. Thank you, Pavilion Master. Qin Nan held the pill bottle, overjoyed. 20 Origin Sun pills. With this, I won't have to go begging on the streets anymore. I might even be able to buy some ingredients and try refining Origin Sun pills myself. I can refine a few more on my own, but the most important thing right now is to follow Ruhua. He probably hasn't gotten far yet. Qin Nan watched Ruhua's retreating figure. The path is lined with guards, but this area right here is a blind spot. This is the perfect chance to strike. Then, Qin Nan stealthily approached from behind. A swift, practiced chop to the back of the neck, and Ruhua was knocked out cold. Seizing the opportunity, Qin Nan took the ring from Ruhua's finger. He held up the ring. 1,000 Origin Sun pills and 100 Profound Gate pills. They're all in here. Qin Nan looked ahead. Next, I need to hit up the mountain to the spire, he sighed, looking down at the unconscious Ruhua. But before I go, I need to change into Ruwa's appearance. After a masterful cosplay, Qin Nan arrived at the spire's gate, staring at the entrance. He thought, all for the Domain Lord's benefit. Do you really think you're the absolute ruler of this Origin Sun domain? Thinking you can control everything under the heavens? Suddenly, a guard stepped forward, raising his sword to stop him. Who are you? The guard demanded. Qin Nan promptly presented the token, explaining that he was an alchemist from the Pill Pavilion, here to deliver medicine to the Domain Lord. The guard was suspicious. Why do you look different? Qin Nan mimicked Ru Hua's voice perfectly. I'm trying out a new makeup style. He then leaned in, asking, what do you think? Am I beautiful? The guard nearly threw up on the spot. He turned away, gagging, unable to handle it. Just get in there, he choked out. Qin Nan cheerfully walked past. Many thanks, senior brother. Meanwhile, the guard thought to himself, good heavens, that nearly made me vomit to death. As Qin Nan entered, he celebrated internally. The spire, the sacred stone. I've finally made it. As he neared the Domain Lord's chambers, another guard blocked his path. What are you doing here? With a calm facade, Qin Nan presented the medicine to the Domain Lord. At the guard's signal, the heavy gates creaked open. A smirk formed on Qin Nan's face as he thought, Domain Lord, your time has come. But just as he stepped inside, he remembered he'd forgotten to change his clothes. He entered to a surprising sight. The Domain Lord was deep in cultivation. Qin Nan scanned the empty hall and called out loudly, Domain Lord. He announced that the 1,000 primary Yang pills and 100 Mystic Gate pills had been delivered. When the Domain Lord remained motionless, he called out again, but still received no answer. A flash of irritation crossed his mind. Why was this old man ignoring him? Qin Nan crept closer, deducing the situation. The old master was in seclusion, deep in his cultivation. A wave of excitement hit him. A martial artist is at their most vulnerable during secluded cultivation. This was the perfect chance to strike. With no proper weapon, his broken sword would have to do. Slowly, silently, he drew his blade. Without a moment's hesitation, Qin Nan swung his sword, thinking, sever the 9 realms' heavenly dippered continent. For 10,000 years, no one could ascend to the God realm. He and his friends would die before they could ever meet again. But if he killed the Domain Lord, his father, Ning, Ruyun, and the old ancestor, they could all successfully ascend to the God realm. Victory was within his grasp. He roared, die! But suddenly, an arm shot out, catching Qin Nan's blade with ease. The man grabbed him by the neck, lifting him off the ground. Sensing the disturbance, the Domain Lord frowned. He spoke, his voice dripping with contempt. I never expected a mere pill refiner to have such ambitions. The subordinate turned to his master. How should we deal with this boy? The Domain Lord's verdict was cold and swift. Kill him. The subordinate glanced back at Qin Nan with a wicked sneer, suggesting to the Domain Lord, perhaps his body could serve as fertilizer to replenish some of the missing energy. The more Qin Nan struggled, the tighter the grip on his throat became. The Domain Lord nodded in agreement, ordering, throw him into the spirit-devouring hall. Without an ounce of mercy, another subordinate complied, by landing a devastating punch square on Qin Nan's face. The force of the blow sent Qin Nan into darkness. A short while later, as he slowly regained consciousness, an unbelievable scene greeted him. Opening his eyes, Qin Nan found himself wrapped like a dumpling inside a strange cocoon. He yelled out in a panic, "What is this cursed place?" Suddenly, a man in the same predicament next to him heard his cry. He let out a sigh of despair. It's useless. Once you're here, all you can do is wait for death. Meanwhile, the Domain Lord's subordinate was plotting in secret. He considered Qin Nan's 5 elements body. It was highly likely he was the one who could absorb the sacred stone's energy. A triumphant thought crossed his mind. Throwing him into the spirit-devouring hall was the final confirmation. If he truly could absorb the sacred stone's energy, then he could be exploited. The subordinate's plan grew even darker. He would release Qin Nan, seize the Five Elements body for himself, and then he would be the one to absorb the sacred stone's power. He thought with arrogant confidence, "Old Domain Lord, your position will soon be mine." Back in the spirit-devouring hall, something began to stir before Qin Nan and the other man. A strange object materialized and began to drain the spiritual energy from everyone trapped in the cocoons like a hyperward vortex of death. Qin Nan was no exception. He could feel his own spiritual energy being torn from him. He screamed in terror, "My key! Why is it being forcefully ripped from my body?" He looked up, wondering what monstrosity was above them. The strange object was draining their life force, yet it was sealed by countless chains. A clear sign that it was something that should never be disturbed. After staring for a moment, Qin Nan finally recognized it. He gasped in shock. "That's a sacred stone!" He realized he was at the very top of a pointed tower. And then the horrifying truth dawned on him. So this is how the sacred stone gets its energy. By devouring the spiritual power of martial artists. A burning rage for the Domain Lord consumed him to advance his own cultivation. He would commit an act as vile as absorbing the life force of living people. Qin Nan roared with fury. "A man like you doesn't deserve to be a Domain Lord." But then a new thought struck him. If he was this close to the stone, he had to find a way to absorb its energy for himself. He began to channel all his strength into his hands, telling himself that these white threads were also formed from spiritual energy. His Five Elements body could absorb them. With every ounce of his being, Qin Nan struggled violently to break free from the cocoon that bound him, refusing to become mere fertilizer. Moments later, with a final, desperate burst, he tore himself free. Like a flash of lightning, Qin Nan shot towards the sacred stone. Reaching out his hand to touch it, he roared with defiance. "If ye, Domain Lord, are the heavens of this realm, then Qin Nan, will defy those very heavens." With that, he began to pull all the spiritual energy from the sacred stone. The stone erupted in a brilliant light atop the tower, illuminating the entire sky. Qin Nan thought to himself, "It's true, the sacred stone is filled with pure spiritual energy. My Five Elements body can absorb it perfectly." Suddenly, the sacred stone began to shrink, then shot directly towards his hand. Qin Nan held the stone, utterly stunned. He wondered, the sacred stone, ... It became this small. Without hesitation, he began absorbing all the spiritual energy from the stone into his body. He guessed that ... This stone had absorbed the ki from countless martial artists. Now, that vast and powerful energy was surging entirely into him. Panic seized him as he thought, "This is bad. I'm going to explode." Qin Nan couldn't handle the colossal amount of spiritual energy, and he collapsed to the ground. Lying there, he asked himself in despair, Is this as far as I go?" The subordinate, who had witnessed the sacred stone's brilliant light suddenly extinguished, was completely shocked. He muttered to himself, "The Five Elements body shouldn't be able to absorb the entire sacred stone. The surprises this kid brings are just too much." The Domain Lord, deep in his cultivation, suddenly felt something was terribly wrong. He roared in fury, turning to his subordinate. "What is happening? Why has my energy source disappeared?" A subordinate burst into the hall, frantically reporting that the sacred stone had vanished. The news struck the Domain Lord like a bolt of lightning, his face turning purple with rage. He spun around and roared at his man. "What?" In that exact moment, an elder smashed through the doors, sending splinters everywhere as he descended gracefully. He pointed a finger at the unconscious figure on the floor and bellowed, "This ant from the Pill Pavilion. He's the one who absorbed the sacred stone." When Ruo quickly interjected, "My lord, this man's cultivation realm is far too low. Absorbing the stone's immense energy will surely cause him to explode. We are running out of time. Our first priority is to stabilize his life force. Only then can you reabsorb the energy. My lord." As he spoke, he thought to himself, "The Domain Lord has no idea this is actually Qin Nan. Asterisk, I must keep Qin Nan alive, for now. Then find an opportunity to claim the sacred stone's power for myself. In another place, Qin Nan slowly opened his eyes. He was startled by the scene before him. Where is this place? Coming to his senses, he murmured, this wasteland is thick with residual spirit energy. What kind of battle was fought here? From within the ethereal mist, a white-haired man gradually appeared. Qin Nan, he said, I have been waiting for you for a long time. The young man scratched his head in confusion. Who are you? The man responded with an air of mystery. Who I am is not important. You just need to know that in all the heavens and countless realms, ... You and I are nothing but pawns of the heavenly Tao. Hearing this, Qin Nan grew even more bewildered. Pawns, seeing his confusion, the man began to explain. When you were on the Tianyan continent, you were constantly exploited, treated as a mere tool by countless powerful factions. Even though you ultimately triumphed over the rules of that land, ... and killed the evil sovereign. You never expected to still be bound by the God Realm's rules and its domain lord after your ascension, did you? Even with power that others envy, you are still bound by countless restrictions. Your life arranged by others. That is the tragedy of being a pawn. Qin Nan, ... Do you wish to remain a pawn of the heavenly Tao? As he spoke, he stared intently at him. Qin Nan's reply was firm. Of course not. Hearing this, the man smiled. Materializing 2 books in his hand, he said, to defeat the heavenly Tao, the most important thing is to empower yourself. These 2 ancient manuals, ... can help you find your own Tao. Qin Nan took the scrolls and read their titles. The Primordial Marrow Body Art, and the 9 Revolutions, Life and Death Art. The man continued, Qin Nan, you must remember this. To forge your own path, to shatter the heavenly Tao, and to walk a path against the heavens is the most important mission, ... that both you and I must accomplish. Hearing this, Qin Nan was taken aback. Against the heavens. But before he could react, the man raised his hand, sending him back with a surge of power. It is time for you to return. From behind the man, the sound of footsteps approached. It was a mystical beast. It came to the white-haired man's side and asked, do you believe he can truly comprehend a Tao of his own? The man replied with absolute confidence, rest assured. His aptitude for the martial path is no less than my own. At that moment, in the great hall of the Yunyang Spire, in the sacred city, Qin Nan's body was contorted, his face twisted in pain. Streams of brilliant light began to weave around his body. In the distance, an old master was siphoning the energy flowing from him. Qin Nan thought desperately, even with the power of the sacred stone within me. Asterisk, ... and all this dense spirit key. If the old domain lord keeps draining me like this, I'll be reduced to a withered husk. Suddenly, his hand brushed against something. He discovered the 2 scrolls he was holding were real. He gasped. These are the 2 secret arts. It wasn't a dream. That wasteland and that figure, ... it was all real. His consciousness was suddenly pulled into another ethereal space. He pondered the figure's words. These 2 ancient manuals can help me comprehend my own Tao. Asterisk. Perhaps these ancient arts are the key to escaping my current predicament. Without another thought, he immediately began to circulate his power. Asterisk, with my 5 elements constitution. If I can successfully absorb these 2 ancient arts, I can achieve enlightenment in an instant, and maybe even something more. Suddenly, his spiritual form shot into the sky, hovering in the void. He focused his mind. Asterisk, the ancient arts, the sacred stone, the Asura bloodline, the 5 elements constitution. Asterisk, Qin Nan closed his eyes, concentrating all his energy to summon his own Tao. As he meditated, he suddenly recalled the words of the celestial maiden from his past. She had gently extended her hand and said to him, you can imagine your own body as an alchemist's furnace, and the various spiritual herbs within are your sustenance. What you must do is refine this sustenance and absorb it to make it your own. The memory struck him like lightning. He finally understood, murmuring the words aloud. Use the body as a furnace, absorb all of creation, and forge it into my own power. After this moment of profound insight, his entire aura erupted with formidable power. His spirit blazed anew as his eyes snapped open. They crackled with fire as he roared, "This is my Tao!" The old man's body that Qin Nan was disguised as began to convulse on the floor. Suddenly, a dazzling golden magical sigil appeared above his head. In an instant, its light cascaded down, enveloping Qin Nan's unconscious form. Seeing this power-awakened Qin Nan, the Domain Lord gritted his teeth in fury. His fists clenched on his knee as he seethed with rage, wondering, who in the world is this person? When Rua, standing beside him, was just as shocked, biting his lip as he watched Qin Nan slowly awaken. His face darkened as a terrible thought crossed his mind. The spiritual energy chains forged by the Domain Lord's own power, are being shaken by the magic of that golden flame. In that moment, Qin Nan's true form was finally revealed. The ugly disguise melted away, exposing his piercing blue eyes and a defiant smirk. He appeared triumphantly just as the spiritual chains were shattering. The Domain Lord could no longer remain seated, his eyes burning like steel. He shot to his feet, letting out a thunderous roar. "So it was you, Qin Nan." As Qin Nan broke free from the chains, forged by the Domain Lord's own key, he instantly snapped into a battle-ready stance. His fists were clenched, ready to unleash on the two men, in the face of their rage. Qin Nan simply let out a defiant scoff. He pointed at himself and taunted, "That's right, it's your granddaddy right here!" Before the words even settled, the Domain Lord shot forward like a gale-force wind, aiming a deadly strike at Qin Nan. "Prepare to die!" But there was no way Qin Nan would let himself be suppressed again. He met the attack with a proud smirk. He flew forward, launching a powerful counterattack. But when the Domain Lord felt the raw power in his strike, he froze mid-air, a cold sweat breaking out across his face. He couldn't believe it. This man possessed such an overwhelming aura. The Domain Lord's full-powered strike was stopped cold in the air by a single hand. The two torrents of power collided, neither giving an inch. The shockwave sent when Ruo and his spirit beast flying. He could only shield himself as his bird was flung into the distance. Below, the citizens stared in shock as the proud golden spire suddenly detonated in the sky. Heavens! What's happening? Was the spire attacked? The two youths, watching the tower crumble, were terrified. Maybe the Domain Lord's cultivation went wrong. The man in gray beside him replied, "Whatever it is, this power is far beyond us." The explosion left nothing but a shroud of white smoke. The force of Qin Nan's power sent the Domain Lord reeling backward, skidding to a halt on feet of flame. He wiped his mouth. Blood dripped from his lips, his eyes burning with fury. "No, impossible. I am the lord of this domain. How could I be stopped by a mere ant like you?" Hearing this, Qin Nan just sneered. "You're mistaken. I didn't just stop your attack. I even wounded you." He wasn't finished, his voice dripping with contempt. "And I am completely unharmed." A confident thought flashed through his mind. I never imagined that, after absorbing so many things, my strength could actually match a Domain Lord's. In an instant, he shot into the air, unleashing a mighty punch and roaring, "This is the perfect chance for revenge." When Ruao, the Domain Lord's disciple, saw his master about to be hit and cried out in alarm, "Domain Lord, watch out!" But the Lord would not be defeated so easily. He unleashed a counterblow to meet Qin Nan's fist. "You think absorbing the Saint Stone makes you my equal?" Qin Nan's smirk only widened. "You are mistaken. Again, I can't just absorb the Saint Stone. I can absorb the very spirit energy from your body." But the Domain Lord still held his attack at bay with one hand. Qin Nan felt his own power surge and thought, "The burning sun inside me can refine all things in the heavens for my use. As long as something contains spirit energy, I can absorb it." Suddenly, with a thunderous roar, Qin Nan unleashed a heaven-defying kick. The blow sent the Domain Lord tumbling through the air. The sheer force of the kick launched him several meters away. Now, who's the real ant? But just then, a searing pain shot through Qin Nan, making his heart clench. It began to spasm violently as he collapsed, clutching his chest. This is bad. I absorbed too much, too quickly. I'm going to explode. Seeing Qin Nan's sudden weakness, the Domain Lord's power flared back to life. He roared, I am the Lord of this domain. My dignity will not be trampled by a mortal like you. When Ruel added from the side, a martial artist, who reaches the 8th level of the quasi-god realm, can open their fate palace. After the 12th level, they can condense a fate soul within it. This is the Domain Lord's fate palace soul. The frozen toad, golden soul ability. With a great leap, he unleashed its power. The Domain Lord aimed straight for Qin Nan. In an instant, he channeled all his strength into a single, decisive palm strike, roaring, and with that word, a devastating blow slammed into Qin Nan's position, shattering the very ground beneath him. A wave of destructive golden light erupted outwards. After the immense strike, a massive crater was all that remained, shrouded in thick smoke. The Domain Lord looked down from above. He smirked, certain he had annihilated Qin Nan. Don't think absorbing the Saint Stone gives you the right to challenge me. But just then, from the depths of the crater, Qin Nan leaped out. As he walked forward, a thought raced through his mind. Even with the power of the burning sun, the old man's forced God-King realm lacks a fate soul support. And it's still too much for me. Besides, the spirit energy in my body is boiling over. I have to use his power to escape, and fast. With his plan set, he shot forward, raising his fist and shouting, Old man, if you've got the guts, take this. The Lord immediately took a defensive stance and launched a, catching Qin Nan completely off guard and blasting him backward. The impact was so powerful it shattered the wall behind him. Qin Nan was sent flying right through the tower floor. The spot he hit, now engulfed in fire and smoke. Everything happened too fast for him to react. He just kept flying, tearing through countless trees. The earth itself was scarred where he passed. Finally, he slammed into a cliff face, bringing his chaotic flight to a halt. He clutched his aching head, cursing under his breath. Damn it, that was close. That punch from the old Domain Lord was really... Wait a minute. I'm only lightly injured. He checked his body, then clenched his fist in excitement. It seems this burning sun ring inside me is truly incredible. But then he felt a strange sensation in his body and said, Danger! This is bad. The spirit energy inside me is about to break free. As he spoke, Qin Nan clutched his chest, groaning in pain. Intense heat began to radiate from his body. If I let this fiery spirit energy run wild through my limbs and meridians, I'll explode for sure. He quickly sat down in a cross-legged position. He began to regulate his body. I can't let this happen. I have to add another seal to my body and suppress this rampant spirit energy. He channeled his power, and a ring of fire ignited around his eyes. As he spoke, the seal on his left eye flared. The violent energy inside me is temporarily suppressed. But even with the suppression, my current realm has still reached the 8th level of the quasi-god realm. Yin Lua, Enmo, Yu. They're going to be shocked. That old Domain Lord will be on my tail soon. I need to get out of here. With that thought, Qin Nan leaped into the sky and flew away. Meanwhile, atop the city gate, the old Domain Lord and Gia stood watching. The subordinate quickly asked, Domain Lord, Qin Nan used your power to escape. Aren't we going to pursue him? The Lord simply replied, There's no rush. Only the Saint Stone can absorb spirit energy from another martial artist's body. Now that the stone is gone, even if I catch him, I can't absorb his energy. His subordinate frowned. Now that the Saint Stone has vanished, your source of power is gone too. What will we do now? The Lord calmly reached out, catching a falling leaf in his hand as he spoke. With every 10,000 sects grand assembly, I capture the highest-ranking cultivators and imprison them in the spirit-devouring hall, using the sacred stone to drain the spiritual energy from their bodies. Once that energy is purified and extracted, I can absorb it perfectly. He suddenly scowled. his fists clenching tightly. He continued in a grim tone, "But while cultivators are easy to find, the sacred stone is not." Hearing this, the man immediately asked, "Now that the sacred stone is gone, your source of power is lost as well. What will you do?" The old man crossed his arms, his face twisting in frustration. "So how do we solve the problem of this sacred stone? I am the ruler of the Yuan-Yang domain, with over 10,000 lower continents under my command. Now, I must bear this pain and offer 500 of them to the demon clan in exchange for the stone." Hearing this, the man couldn't help but cry out in alarm. 500 lower continents. Then he clenched his fists, his voice filled with indignation. Even if they are just lower continents, producing only low-level cultivators of little value, these continents continuously supply our Yuan-Yang domain with spiritual energy. If we give them up, our domain's overall strength will plummet. When the demon clan invades again, Domain Lord. The old man shot him a sideways glance, his voice turning ice cold. "What? Are you trying to teach me how to do my job?" Jiajia was terrified, frantically waving his hands in denial. This subordinate wouldn't dare. The old man slammed his hand on the wall, his voice suddenly booming. "I am the master of the Yuan-Yang domain. No one can challenge my authority. This momentary sacrifice is for the sake of greater power in the future. You must understand this principle." Jiajia immediately bowed low, clasping his hands in reverence. This subordinate was foolish. I will engrave the domain lord's words into my memory. Hearing this, the old man's tone softened. "Very well. You will preside over the Grand Assembly tomorrow. I will personally go to the demon domain to trade for the sacred stone." The man suddenly remembered something and quickly asked, "What about Qin Nan? How should we deal with him? When should we capture him?" The old man replied with a single, resounding word: "Wait. The moment I leave for the demon domain to trade for the stone will be the moment Qin Nan dies. Once this grand assembly begins, the sacred city's defensive forces will be focused on guarding against invasions from the demon and beast domains. At that time, we can use other powers within our domain to deal with Qin Nan. So, spread the word. The entire Yuan-Yang domain is to hunt down Qin Nan. He must be captured alive." The man knelt at once, respectfully replying, "This subordinate obeys." He then thought to himself, now that Qin Nan has absorbed the sacred stone, he possesses the power to oppose the domain lord to kill that old man. I will need Qin Nan's strength. I cannot issue this arrest warrant for Qin Nan now. In fact, I must let him participate in the Grand Assembly so he can achieve a top rank. That way, he will inevitably meet the domain lord. As he walked away, a sinister thought crossed his mind. I will use Qin Nan as my blade. After he kills the domain lord, I will strike Qin Nan from the shadows. By then, I can retrieve the sacred stone from the dead domain lord and absorb the spiritual energy from Qin Nan's body. The position of Yuan-Yang domain lord will finally be mine. On a clear, moonlit night, below a small house, the sounds of cooking filled the air as smoke billowed upwards. Mo, Oo, and Yin, Lu were preparing dinner. Yin Luo asked, "Sister Yu, Qin Nan has been gone for 4 days. Why hasn't he returned yet?" Mo Yuzi answered grimly as she cooked. "I heard the sacred spire stone was stolen. The city is on high alert. I don't know if Qin Nan can even make it back." Suddenly, a massive explosion erupted before their eyes, blasting a huge hole through the sturdy wall of their house. A scorching wind and searing flames rushed in. Duyuexi, clad in purple robes, led a group of guards toward the two women. He bellowed, "Where is Qin Nan? Hand him over." Mo Yui immediately stepped in front of Yin Luo, signaling her to stay calm. She retorted, "It's you people. Why are you looking for Qin Nan?" Dulushi swore a scornful expression. He stroked his chin and announced, "The spire stone was stolen, and Qin Nan is suspected of aiding the culprit. Hand him over, now. Otherwise, I'll take you back to play with me." Yin Luo pointed a finger at the uninvited intruders and yelled, "Qin Nan is only at the 4th layer of the quasi-god realm. How could he possibly touch something belonging to the domain lord? You're just spouting nonsense. At this point, Yu spoke up. Qin Nan isn't here. We're looking for him too. Duixi angrily dismissed her words, certain that she was lying. It seems you won't give up until you see the coffin, he continued. Although Jiahaya hasn't ordered us to capture Qin Nan, he is definitely a suspect in the theft of the sacred stone. If we capture Qin Nan for Jia ahead of time, we might even get a reward for our efforts. He then commanded the guards behind him, Men, get them for me. Capture these two women. We'll use them as bait to force Qin Nan out. And when that happens, you will all be handsomely rewarded. On the other side, Duixi thought to himself, the golden armored guards may only be at the first layer of the quasi-god realm, but that's more than enough to deal with girls from the Darklight Divine Palace. From what I can see, these two haven't even reached the quasi-god realm yet. Instantly, the guards charged forward like the wind, their goal to capture the two seemingly weak girls before them. Mo Yu, holding her celestial sword, shouted a technique like water, 1,000 waves. A torrent of blue water coiled around the divine blade. The stream of water suddenly swelled, turning into a raging current that swept the guards away as they screamed in agony. Duo Lioli narrowed her eyes. Not bad. If you hadn't attacked, I wouldn't have known. A disciple of the Darklight Divine Palace has actually reached the second layer of the quasi-god realm. Then her voice dripped with contempt. I originally thought neither of you had even reached the quasi-god realm. Yinluo was overjoyed, clasping her hands in admiration. Sister, Yu, you broke through to the second layer of the quasi-god realm. Yu's eyes never left the guards. My! I just broke through yesterday. Toyoshi pointed a finger, ordering Duo Lioli. He smirked. Lioli, capture these two women for me. I'll arrange for 2 handsome men to be sent to your room later. Duo Lioli held a dagger to her lips, licking the blade seductively. A vicious aura emanated from her. 2 is too few. I want 4. On the other side, Mo Yu took a defensive stance, warning Yinluo, your realm is a bit low. Stay behind me. Yinluo, holding a dagger, stood aside with a worried expression. Okay, I'll try not to be a burden. Liuli lunged forward, her body flickering in and out of sight, her movements impossible to predict. Yu focused intently on Liuli's phantom-like form, thinking, I can't even see her silhouette. Her realm is at least 3 minor realms higher than mine. Just as the thought crossed her mind, Yu saw her opponent appear right in front of her. Liuli's movements were swift as she slashed down. Yu immediately raised her sword to block, deflecting the attack. Sword and dagger clashed as fast as the wind. Yinluo spotted a weakness. While Liuli was busy fighting Yu, she threw her dagger, hissing, an opportunity. But she had already seen through Yinluo's plan. Liuli dodged a throwing knife with insulting ease. A pathetic little blade like this was meant to harm me. Suddenly, an arrow flew in, smacking the dagger away. The scene erupted into chaos. As Du Yuzi intercepted Yinluo's attack, a bloodthirsty Li lunged at the Yu with twin blades, sneering with contempt. Using hidden weapons in my presence. Little beauty, you're far too naive. Liu Li sent Yu flying with a single kick, then instantly appeared before Yinluo. A cold blade pressed against her throat. You people from the Darkmang Divine Palace are truly pathetic. Duzi chuckled, sauntering over to the injured Yu. His voice was pure poison. Weak, yes, but your figure is exquisite. I've been watching you for a long time. Mo the Yu, enraged. Mo the Yu sprang to her feet, sword flashing as she screamed, You vile fiend! Die. But suddenly, she spotted a needle in her left arm. Her face paled. It was a poison dart. She collapsed, her strength fading fast. Duzi knelt beside the paralyzed Yu, his smile utterly depraved. That little needle, is called the soft tendon toxin. It drains your power completely. leaving you as helpless as a fish on a cutting board, entirely at my mercy. Yin Luo cried out in terror. Sister, you. Dululi blocked her path with a wicked grin. Don't rush. You'll get your turn soon enough. Du za added shamelessly. All right, let's take them back. I plan to savor these 2 morsels. But then a new voice echoed from above. And where exactly did you plan on taking them? The trio looked up, startled, to see Qin Nan perched on the roof. Du Zi's eyes narrowed. Qin Nan. Landing gracefully, Qin Nan spoke. Back in the city, ... You were nothing more than defeated dogs at my feet. And now you dare to bully those under my protection. You truly have a death wish. Dululi tightened her grip on Yin Luo, her blade still at her throat. Du Zu cackled. Qin Nan, you fool. You've walked right into our trap. He roared. Blood Shadow Guard! A vortex of crimson energy swirled into existence, and from it, the guard emerged. His eyes glowed red, his face hidden by a dark hood. An aura of pure slaughter radiated from his shadowy form. Du Zi stood behind him, brimming with confidence. The Blood Shadow Guard are elite assassins, trained by the Holy City Lord himself. Their power is at the 5th level of the quasi-god realm, far beyond any golden armor grunt. Qin Nan, prepare to meet your doom. But Qin Nan just scoffed. A mere 5th level quasi, and you dare act so mighty. In an instant, Qin Nan shot toward the Blood Shadow Guard. He moved like the wind, his body blazing with golden energy. The Blood Shadow Guard was stunned by Qin Nan's terrifying pressure. He was completely frozen, unable to react. Du Yuzi's jaw hit the floor, his face white as a sheet. My God! What is that speed? Before anyone could blink, Qin Nan had already slammed a devastating fist into the assassin's gut. All his inner power focused into a single point of impact. The Blood Shadow Guard crumpled to the ground in agony. His face twisted in a mask of pain. Qin Nan glanced at Du Yuzi with a smirk. Was that not enough? Do you have any other tricks up your sleeve? Du Yuzi's face was a storm of disbelief. The Blood Shadow Guard, defeated with a single punch. He couldn't fathom how Qin Nan possessed such strength. He growled through clenched teeth. No, that's impossible. You're clearly only at the 4th level of the quasi-god realm. How could you defeat a 5th level expert in an instant? Qin Nan gave him a taunting grin. In my world, nothing is impossible. Before Du Zi could even process his words, Qin Nan was already in front of him, driving a fist deep into his gut. He had no time to defend. He doubled over, clutching his stomach, his face a mask of agony as he looked up at Qin Nan. All he could manage was a choked gasp. Du Luli had seen everything. She flinched when Qin Nan's gaze fell on her and began to stammer. You ... Stay back. One more step and I'll kill her. Qin Nan completely ignored her threat. With a mere gesture, he telekinetically ripped the daggers from her grasp. I'll be borrowing these. Just like that, her weapons were gone. She stared at her empty hands, completely bewildered by Qin Nan's terrifying power. What are you? A monster. Holding her blades, Qin Nan turned his cold gaze back to Du Yuzi. The man was paralyzed with fear, his face drained of color. Certain his end had come, he stammered. What are you going to do? Qin Nan raised a blade, his eyes burning with rage. What am I going to do? I'm going to make sure your bloodline ends with you. Without a moment's hesitation, Qin Nan swung the blade down, right between Du Yuzi's legs. He had been permanently robbed of his manhood. The villain writhed on the ground, screaming in agony, clutching his groin as a dark substance pooled beneath him. Arg! Seeing how horrifically the tables had turned, Du Lili dropped to her knees. Great Master Qin, please, spare us! We were blinded by our foolish ambitions. We never should have provoked you. Qin Nan's voice was cold steel. Who sent you? Terrified, Luli pressed her forehead to the ground. I swear, No one sent us. We were just trying to curry favor with Jaya. When Rue unacted on our own, we thought we'd be rewarded for capturing you. We deserve death. We deserve death. Qin Nan leveled the blade at her. I might let you live. ... But first, you'll answer a question for me. Knowing she had no choice, Du Liuli pleaded. Anything, Great Master Qin. We will tell you the absolute truth. Qin Nan's voice turned grave. The master of the Dark Mang Divine Palace has been poisoned. Her power is fading. Does your poisoned dragon palace have anything to do with it? Du Liuli confessed without hesitation. Yes, our palace master has always coveted the Dark Mang Divine Palace. He resorted to despicable means, colluding with one of your own elders to secretly poison your master. Qin Nan pressed the blade against her neck. Where is the antidote? Lu Li trembled, terrified for her life. The antidote. Only our palace master has it. She quickly tried to explain. Please, you must believe us. We are merely elite disciples. We have no knowledge of such a high-grade poison. Only our master knows its secrets, and only he has the cure. Qin Nan lowered the blade. Hand over the antidote for the soft tendon toxin ... and every valuable you have on you. Then you can get out of my sight. Liu Li scrambled to produce several vials of antidote ... along with a small mountain of gold bars. Why? Of course. Qin Nan couldn't help but grin at the sight of the treasure and the precious antidotes. With a hasty bow, Liu Li bid her farewell, then grabbed Yu Zi by the shoulder and vanished in a flash. Qin Nan watched as their figures disappeared into the distance. He thought to himself, I'll spare their lives for now. If I can't find the Poison Dragon Hall, I'll need them to lead the way. Meanwhile, Yin Luo anxiously supported Mo Yu. She clutched the wound on her stomach, her eyes downcast with disappointment. It seemed they couldn't stay here any longer. Qin Nan turned, sensing Yu Yu's despair. Don't worry, he said. They left behind plenty of treasures. We can buy a new place to live. Hearing this, Yu Yu's spirit lifted slightly. Then, Qin Nan opened his palm for them to see. They also had these 4 Yuan Yang pills on them. You two can split them. I don't need any. Mo Yu Wu faced Qin Nan, accepting the pills with a look of pure your power. I can no longer fathom its depths, she admitted. It seems your trip into the city was incredibly fruitful. Qin Nan's smile grew wider. He proudly revealed his latest achievement. You too should know. I've already reached the 8th level of the quasi-god realm. Yin Luo's eyes widened in disbelief as she shouted, What, brother Qin Nan? How's that even possible? Qin Nan just gave a weary smile and ruffled her hair. That's what happens after you survive a battle between life and death. Yin Luo's jaw dropped, her eyes wide as she stared at the man before her, completely speechless. He was on a whole other level. Beside her, Yu Yu clutched the precious Yuan Yang pills, her resolve hardening. I once thought I had a chance to catch up to you, but now I see there was never any chance at all. 2 figures burst into the room. Duo Liu Li and Duo Yu Zi. They immediately dropped to one knee in a formal salute. Duo Yu Zi cried out, Master Jia, you must seek justice for us. Jia Wenruo, sitting at a desk with a scroll in hand, inquired coolly. Oh, weren't you accompanied by a blood shadow guard? With his protection, what trouble could you possibly have found? Duo Yu Zi hastily reported. It was Qin Nan. With a single move, Qin Nan defeated the blood shadow guard. He even struck me and left me wounded. Hearing this, Jaya Wenrua shot up in a fury, slamming his hand on the table. You met Qin Nan? Where is he now? Seeing Jia Wenruo's explosive reaction, Duo Yu Zi smirked inwardly. HMPH, Qin Nan. Jia Wenruo himself is making a move now. You are as good as dead. Beneath a clear blue sky, inside a simple cottage, Qin Nan stood with his arms crossed, watching Yin Luo and Mo Yu cultivate. Not bad, he mused. With 2 Yuan Yang pills, Mo Yu has nearly reached the peak of the second-level quasi-god realm. She's about to break through to the third level. He noted to himself, Enyin Luo is finally about to reach the first level of the quasi-god realm. Suddenly, he sensed a strange disturbance. On high alert, Qin Nan whipped around to face the outside, a suspicious sound escaping his lips. In the next instant, he channeled his spiritual energy and shot into the sky. The newcomer was none other than Jia Wen. Seeing Qin Nan, he spoke first. It seems that after absorbing the sacred stone, your spiritual senses have become far more acute. He then probed further. But your cultivation realm has suddenly dropped so much. Could it be you sealed a portion of your power? Afraid you'd explode from the inside out? Qin Nan ignored the question, his voice cold as ice. Why are you here? If you've come to capture me, I don't mind unsealing my power and having a real battle with you. Jai Wenruo waved his finger dismissively, feigning a friendly tone. You misunderstand. I haven't come to capture you this time, but to cooperate with you? Qin Nan almost scoffed at the words. Cooperate, he thought. That's like a wolf mourning a sheep. This man was the very picture of deceit and malice. I wonder what kind of scheme he's cooking up now. Jia Wenruo continued his performance. Qin Nan, all of your friends are trapped in the lower continents, unable to ascend to the god realm for 10,000 years. You can't even see them. This must be the greatest pain in your heart. Am I wrong? Qin Nan's brow furrowed as he demanded, Jia Wenruo, what are you really trying to say? Jia Wenruo replied calmly, I'm saying that we both share the same goal. To kill the Domain Lord. In that regard, you and I are on the same side. Hearing this, Qin Nan couldn't help but erupt in laughter. Ha ha ha! What an absurd joke. You and I, on the same side. By that logic, couldn't the Domain Lord and I become relatives? Jia Wenruo's tone suddenly shifted, laced with a deep-seated hatred as he began his tragic tale. When I was young, ... That old fiend, the Domain Lord, slaughtered over 1,000 members of my clan right before my eyes. He took my mother and me captive, all because he discovered my talent for cultivation. I was spared and forced to become his disciple. Because of the immense potential within my body, his expression twisted into a vicious snarl as he continued through gritted teeth. But, Mama, because of her beauty, he locked her away and tormented her to death. So no matter how well he treats me, a seed of vengeance has been growing in my heart, ready to kill him. Qin Nan clapped his hands slowly, his voice dripping with sarcasm. TSK. 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 What a truly moving story. Then he added sharply, but what does any of this have to do with me? Do you really think telling me your sob story will make me happily cooperate with you? Jia Wenruo regained his composure. With his hands behind his back, he spoke slowly. Because you absorbed the sacred stone, he is preparing to trade 500 lower continents to the demon domain ... for a new one. And as we speak, he is already on his way, he emphasized. Among those 500 continents is the Xi'an continent, where your friends and family reside. The moment Qin Nan heard this, he lunged forward, grabbing Jia Wenruo by the collar and roaring, What did you say? Jia Wenruo remained unfazed. If those 500 continents fall into the hands of the demon domain ... every living being on them will become slaves to the demon race. Qin Nan's mind went blank as he slowly released his grip. He clenched his fists tightly. A furious inferno blazed within him as he vowed, That old fiend, I will definitely kill you. He turned to Jia Wenruo. Fine. I agree. I will cooperate with you. Hearing this, Jia Wenruo smiled inwardly. His plan a perfect success. He then said, I have already lifted the domain-wide manhunt for you. However, the sacred city is still swarming with golden-armored guards and blood shadow guards, hunting you down. The only way to protect yourself now, ... is to disguise yourself and hide within the 10,000 sex assembly. Jia Wenruo explained the details. Once the assembly begins, martial artists from each battle zone will be moved to different areas. The golden armored guards and blood shadow guards of the sacred city are forbidden from entering these zones. This way, you can participate in the assembly, while evading the sacred city's forces. Qin Nan had a question. If security is that tight, how am I supposed to get close to that old fiend? The domain lord, Jia Wenruo, simply wagged his finger. He revealed the final piece of the plan. To enhance his own power, the domain lord will capture the top-ranked martial artists from each zone, and use the sacred stone to absorb all the spiritual energy from their body. The domain lord would just keep luring pawns to use. So, the fastest way to get close to him is to win first place in the 10th war zone, and then let him capture you. Besides, the rewards for winning the 10th zone are incredible. They include a special talisman stone that can be inscribed over 1,000 times, and a top-tier, first venerable grade alchemy furnace. I wouldn't mind taking those for myself. Qin Nan stroked his chin, saying, "Get captured on purpose, ... He thought to himself that this was a rather interesting plan. Jia Wenruo laid out the final part of the scheme. After the domain lord returns from the demon domain with the saintly stone, ... he must pour a portion of his own power into it to activate it. At that moment, his power will be at its weakest. I'll use that chance to free you, and we'll strike him down together. Deal." Qin Nan extended his hand. "Let's seal the deal." "Very well. Here's to a successful partnership. Jia." Wenruo clasped his hand in return. A successful partnership, indeed. With their business done, he cupped his fists to bid farewell. "If there is nothing else, I shall take my leave." Watching Jia Wenruo's retreating figure, Qin Nan fell deep into thought. As the ancients say, the world gathers for profit and scatters for the same reason. For Jia Wenruo to approach me so eagerly, there's definitely more to this, he thought. But no matter. For now, I'll simply play along and see what he has planned. If he dares to plot against me, I'll just eliminate both him and the domain lord. Not long after, the 10,000 sects assembly officially began. The host stood tall on the grand stage, his voice booming. "The 10,000 sects assembly is about to begin. First, I will explain the rules to everyone." A white-haired elder in a blue robe spoke with a clear, strong voice. "Due to the large number of participating factions and their varying levels of power, ... For the sake of fairness, we have created 100 war zones. Factions of similar strength have been grouped into the same war zone." He then began to announce the rules of the competition. Once the assembly begins, the 100 factions in each zone ... will be teleported into their respective battle arenas. Within these arenas, warriors from each faction can fight freely. Each time you defeat a faction, you will earn 1 point. The scene shifted to a vast, open land. Amidst dense forests, under a blazing sun, the elder continued, "In the end, the person with the most points will be the champion, and will receive a handsome reward." The host added, "To reduce the number of casualties, a special formation is active in each arena. Once a warrior is detected to be critically injured, ... they will be immediately teleported back to this square to receive treatment." He raised a single finger, revealing the critical flaw in the system. However, this teleportation process requires a single breath's worth of time. Therefore, it's possible for a gravely injured warrior, in that one moment, ... to be killed by another person. The participating crowd buzzed with anxiety. Heavens! So our lives are still at risk. You could walk in, standing up, ... and leave, lying down. Amidst the chatter, a woman with long brown hair, a strong jawline, and a muscular physique spoke up. "Have you all forgotten the reason you came here? We are all here to raise the ranking of our own factions. If we can achieve a better ranking, our factions will receive more resources in the years to come, ... allowing us to cultivate even stronger warriors." A gray-haired warrior with a short haircut and thick eyebrows voiced his support. "This woman is right. If I can secure a good ranking for my sect, ... then my sect will obtain more resources. When the entire sect's strength rises, I will be hailed as the sect's hero. From afar, Du Yuexi and Du Liuli were observing the crowd, their eyes on the muscular woman. Du Liuli said, "I remember that woman. Isn't she Hu Long's older sister?" Du Yuexi confirmed. "Correct. Her name is Hu Feng. She was sent to the Supreme Tao sect by the Huzhou Heavenly Clan for training. Her strength is immense. I heard she's at the 7th level of the quasi-god realm." Du Liuli clicked her tongue. TSK. 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 The Supreme Tao sect is ranked first in the 10th war zone. Hu Feng's goal is definitely to secure that #1 spot. We should stay far away from her, so we don't become her targets. Du Yuexi let out a sinister laugh, a cruel light flashing in his eyes. Hey, hey, hey! I bet she cares a great deal about the death of her little brother, Hu Long. We can use this to our advantage and achieve our own goals. In another corner, Qin Nan was instructing the two girls. When we're teleported, the three of us may be sent to different places. You must avoid combat and regroup with me as quickly as possible. I will find a way to contact you. Mo Yu replied gently. Mahum, you be careful too. Yin Luo was more confident. Don't worry, my escape skills are still top-notch. I won't get caught in any fights. Just then, a group of 3 approached them. A short, white-haired man in black, a tan-skinned youth with white hair in the middle, and a woman in a green dress beside him. The tan-skinned youth spoke with a sneer. Yo, isn't this Qin Nan and the 2 women from the Dark Shimmer Divine Palace? You all actually dared to participate in the assembly? Yin Luo shot them a sideways glance. Whether we participate or not has nothing to do with you. The tan-skinned youth scoffed. We just came to remind you. Try not to get eliminated the second you get in. Otherwise, you'll not only lose face, yourselves, you'll bring shame to the entire Dark Shimmer Divine Palace. After saying his piece, he turned to leave. That's all I have to say. Farewell. Before leaving, he didn't forget to turn back and deliver a threat. Oh, I forgot to tell you! If you keep ranking last, you'll be absorbed by the Poison Dragon Hall. Yin Luo was furious, pointing her finger at his back and yelling, To hell with you. I hope you get killed right at the start. Mo Yu quickly tried to calm her down. All right, the wicked will face their own judgment. We just need to do our best. At that very moment, the elder hosting the event raised his hand and announced loudly, The 10,000 Sects Assembly begins now. A blue teleportation array appeared beneath everyone's feet. Instantly, all the contestants vanished, transported to their separate war zones. Qin Nan appeared near the edge of a forest, all alone, he thought, as expected. Mo Yu, Ying Luo, and I were all sent to different locations. I'm at the 8th level of the quasi-god realm, so I'm strong enough to protect myself. But I'm not so sure about them. He resolved himself. I have to find them quickly. Putting his thoughts into action, Qin Nan bent his knees and shot up into the air. But alas, he slammed face first into an invisible golden barrier, his whole body plastered against it like a lizard. Qin Nan could only begrudgingly lower his altitude, flying just above the ground. This barrier is incredibly strong, he thought. It must be designed to stop cultivators from flying. I have no choice but to travel on foot. Meanwhile, somewhere else under the vast blue sky, Yin Luo followed the path of a winding river. She muttered to herself, I've been tracing this stream for a while now, but there's no sign of anyone. Is this tournament area truly this massive? Never mind, I should avoid fighting for now. I need to find Sister the Wu and Qin Nan first. Suddenly, a flying dagger tore through the air, aimed straight for her. Yin Luo whipped her head around in shock. She twisted her body just in time, the dagger grazing past her and sinking deep into a distant tree. The hilt quivered with such force, the entire tree shook, sending leaves fluttering down. Footsteps approached. It was Yin Tang. She shot Yin Luo a look of pure contempt and sneered. I can't believe it. After 3 years, you're still just as pathetic. I've already reached the 4th level of the quasi-god realm, and you haven't even broken through yet. Yin Luo demanded. Yin Tang, what do you want? Yin Tang crossed her arms, replying casually, I just feel incredibly unlucky. This combat zone is enormous, with barely over 100 people, and you're the first person I run into. Isn't that the worst luck in the entire world? Yin Luo's anger flared. What right do you have to mock me? You and your mother are exactly the same. Nothing more than shameless wretches who steal another's love. Yin Tang's face twisted in fury. She pointed a finger right at Yin Luo and shrieked, "Oh!" Yin Luo shot back with a sarcastic smirk. "What's wrong? Did I strike a nerve? Are you starting to feel the shame?" To her surprise, Yin Tang simply placed a hand on her hip and roared with laughter. She said, "Scream all the nasty insults you want. It won't change the fact that your father ruthlessly abandoned you and your mother." Yin Luo refused to back down. "If you and your mother hadn't used such despicable tricks to destroy my family, you'd still be servants right now, lower than dogs." Yin Tang's voice dripped with arrogance. "In this world, the strong reign supreme, and the weak are shown no mercy. When your mother was young, my mother crushed her, and from the day you were born, I have crushed you." She continued her torment. "In the end, you are the weaklings of this world. You and your mother couldn't compete. So, you deserved to be cast aside without a second thought." She delivered the final, soul-crushing blow. "Just think about your mother. Think about what a pathetic state she was in. All of that happened because you were too weak. You have no one to blame but yourselves. In this world, weakness is a sin." Those venomous words made Yin Luo relive that heartbreaking day when her own father mercilessly threw them out of their home. He had cruelly waved his hand and yelled, "Get out!" And right beside him, Yin Tens and her mother were laughing, gloating in their victory. Not long after, her mother, withered by grief, passed away. The life drained from Yin Luo's face as the crushing memories flooded back. She could only whisper one word, "Mother." Overwhelmed by the psychological assault, Yin Luo's spirit wavered. She began to doubt herself. Could it be true? Was it all because I was too weak? Seeing her advantage, Yin Tang delivered her verbal finishing move. That's why the weak deserve to die. With the final word, she stomped the ground. Launching herself across the river, she slammed a brutal kick straight into Yin Luo's chest. The impact sent Yin Luo flying backward, snapping a dozen trees before she was pinned against a massive trunk. Blood poured from her mouth. Far away, Qin Nan heard the commotion. He turned his head sharply and said, "It sounds like a battle is happening over there." He immediately flew in that direction, murmuring, "I have to go check it out." At that moment, Yin Luo lay on the grass, with Yin Tang's foot grinding her face into the dirt. The victor gloated, "Do you see now? At your current level, you can't even withstand a single light blow from me." Yin Tang then screamed, "This is the fate of the weak." Yin Luo was sinking into despair. She thought of her departed mother, a sorrowful whisper escaping her lips. Mother, she remembered when she was just a child. Her mother lay frail on her deathbed, and she had asked, "Mother, are we really the weak ones?" Her mother gently stroked her head and replied softly, "Yes. But being weak is never a reason to stop trying. As long as we keep striving, step by step, one day we will surpass the very people who now trample upon us." Yin Tang violently broke her train of thought. "Weakness is your sin. You deserve to be put down by the strong like us." Saying that, she gathered her power again, preparing to stomp down on Yin Luo once more. But this time, Yin Luo fought back. Her hand shot up, grabbing Yin Tang's ankle, stopping the humiliating attack. Yin Luo lifted her head, staring directly into her enemy's eyes. "No, weakness has never been the sin. Laziness is..." Yin Tang pressed down with even greater force. But Yin Luo held firm, her grip unbreakable. She said, 3 years ago, you broke through to the first level of the quasi-god realm. Now, 3 years have passed, and you've only advanced 3 minor realms. But me, 3 years ago, I was in the early demigod stage. Now, I am on the verge of stepping into the quasi-god realm." Yin Luo tightened her grip on Yin Tang's leg, a defiant smile spreading across her face. "I'm about to surpass you." Yin Tang flew into a rage, raising her foot again and screaming, "You piece of trash! You weakling! Who gave you this confidence? But Yin Luo was faster this time. She rolled to the side, dodging Yin Tang's kick. She sprang to her feet, a powerful aura erupting from her. It was clear Yin Thames was now a step behind. By the time Yin Thames turned to face her again, a flicker of worry crossed her face. You, ... You broke through to the first level of the quasi-god realm. Just then, Qin Nan arrived. He asked, Yin Luo, are you all right? Yin Luo glanced back at Qin Nan, but her gaze quickly snapped back to Yin Temps. Her eyes filled with resolve. Her voice rang with newfound confidence. I'm fine. You don't need to worry. What happens next? Is a battle I must finish myself. Do not interfere. With that, Yin Luo held out her left hand, signaling for Qin Nan to stay back. She gripped a short blade in her right hand, pointing it directly at Yin Tang. She declared, Come, let's see which one of us is the truly weak one. They rushed at each other. Yin Tang leaped into the air, hurling a dagger straight at Yin Luo. Not to be outdone, Yin Luo threw her own blade, sending it spinning toward her opponent. The two daggers whistled past each other. Yin Tang's blade left a deep gash on Yin Luo's left arm, but Yin Tang herself managed to dodge unscathed. She sneered. We both use the Yin family's flying daggers ... But you are no match for my skill. Doesn't this prove that you're nothing but a failure? A weakling? Watching from the sidelines, Qin Nan analyzed the fight. The Yin family's flying daggers are incredibly sharp, but they lack a certain degree of flexibility. He stroked his chin, thinking, back when Yin Luo fought the three great elders, she tried to fix this weakness by modifying the daggers, attaching metal threads to control them. It increased their agility, but it still wasn't enough. Suddenly, a brilliant idea flashed through Qin Nan's mind. A light bulb went on inside his head. He shouted, That's it, Yin Luo. If you used your spiritual energy to control the daggers, it might produce an incredible result. Both Yin Luo and Yin Sheng were stunned by the suggestion. Yin Sheng was horrified. What? But to Yin Luo, the idea was revolutionary. She marveled, controlling them with spiritual energy ... Why didn't I think of that? Qin Nan began to guide her from a distance. He explained, the first step to controlling the daggers with your spirit is to sense their location. He detailed the technique. After you feel them, imagine you have invisible arms ... extending to command the daggers. Yin Sheng scoffed. I've already tried that method. Even I couldn't master it. Yin Luo, there's no way you can possibly succeed. Yin Luo slowly opened her eyes, her gaze now filled with unshakable resolve as she stared down Yin Sheng. She smirked. And who says I can't? All five daggers suddenly levitated in the air before her. Yin Sheng raised her own dagger, sneering, wishful thinking. With so many daggers ... You, single quotes. LL never control them successfully. Yin Sheng leaped forward, hurling her dagger with a roar. But her blade was unexpectedly ... intercepted by another dagger, knocking it completely off course. Both weapons plunged into the ground, dealing no damage at all. Yin Sheng froze on the spot. In stark contrast, Yin Luo was now effortlessly commanding a swarm of daggers. She asked coolly, speaking of weak and strong, shouldn't you know your place by now? Yin Sheng couldn't believe the scene before her. She stammered, No, this is impossible. Yin Luo shouted one word, Go, and all the daggers shot forward in perfect unison. With such an overwhelming assault, Yin Sheng couldn't have escaped, even if she'd sprouted wings. Daggers pierced her limbs, and a spot near her heart, as fresh blood began to pour from her lips. Yin Sheng now lay collapsed on the ground, unable to utter a single word. While Yin Luo stood tall and triumphant, Yin Luo looked down at her opponent. Humph. So, who's the weak one now? Qin Nan, seeing her fight so brilliantly, walked over to praise her. I can't believe my casual suggestion actually worked. Immediately after taking down Yin Sheng ... Yin Luo turned to Qin Nan with pure excitement sparkling in her eyes. Qin Nan, thank you. If it weren't for your guidance, I never could have overcome my cultivation gap to defeat her. Qin Nan awkwardly scratched his head. No, that was all due to your own incredible perception. I just gave a random suggestion. It was nothing. But before he could finish, a soft, romantic aura suddenly enveloped them. Yin Luo stepped forward, placed her hands on his shoulders, and stood on her tiptoes to plant a quick kiss on his cheek, leaving Qin Nan frozen solid for 5 whole seconds. His face instantly turned bright red, his brain completely unable to process this critical hit. As Yin Luo pulled back from the Laitasa kiss, her own cheeks were faintly flushed. She whispered softly into Qin Nan's ear, "Consider it a reward for helping me." It was the first time a girl had been so bold with him, and Qin Nan stood stiff as a board for a long while. His mind was a complete blank. He raised a hand to gently touch his cheek, where a hint of warmth still lingered, lost in a wonderful daydream. Yin Luo had already walked a few steps ahead. Seeing him still motionless, she called out, "Aren't you coming? We have to find Sister Yayu." In that moment, it was as if Qin Nan had achieved enlightenment. He broke into a confident smile, his white teeth practically sparkling. A dazzling aura radiated from his entire body as he couldn't help but admire his own deadly charm. A short while later, the two of them were hiding together in a thicket. Their eyes locked on the scene unfolding before them. Qin Nan eyed the older man with suspicion and asked, "Who is that old man?" Hearing his question, Yin Luo peered at the two figures in the distance and replied, "I heard that Sister Yayu has a father named Xingwen. He's an elder of the Rising Sun Divine Sect. He was also assigned to our 10th ward. I can't believe we actually found Sister Yayu." But even after hearing this, Qin Nan was still confused. He shot a questioning look at Yin Luo. "Isn't Mo Yayu's surname Mo? So why is her father's surname Xing?" Faced with this question, Yin Luo decided against a long explanation. Without a wasted motion, she raised her right hand and bonked Qin Nan on the head, scolding, "Are you an idiot? This is Sister Yayu's family business." She chided him so loudly and without restraint that Xing Wenxian and Modat Yayu, standing on the other side, heard everything. Xing Wenxian's face twisted in anger, his brows knitting together as he spun around. He glared toward the source of the noise, growling, "Who's sneaking around over there? Show yourselves." Knowing they were caught, Qin Nan and Yin Luo stepped out from the bush. "Ahem, greetings." "Unko," Xing Wenxian's face darkened as he sized them up. "So these are your friends from the Dark Brilliance Divine Palace." Utterly disgraceful. At these words, Yin Luo's anger flared, and she pointed right at him. "Old man, I greeted you out of respect for Sister Yayu. Don't you dare act so high and mighty." Her defiance only enraged Xing Wenxian more. He refused to even look at them. "MPH, befriending people like this? You've truly fallen low." You didn't back down either. Her brow furrowed as she said in a cold tone, "Who I befriend is my business. What right do you have to control me? Right? Don't forget, I am your father." "Oh, so where were you when I was 10 years old, and you abandoned my mother and me to disappear? You dare bring up my father now? Do you even know how to write the word shame?" He suppressed his rage and slowly explained, "When you were 10, you were diagnosed with a latent disease. You wouldn't live past 30, and because of it, your cultivation would always be slow. As a member of the Mo family, you should have been a flawless genius. Instead, you brought shame to me and disgraced our entire family. You were nothing but a burden, a liability. I had to cut my losses and abandon you. To leave you both behind and continue pursuing my own glorious destiny." Watching her father point a finger at her, Yayu's expression remained cold as ice. She simply stated, "What a pity. In the years since, my mother and I founded the Great Mo clan in the Yuanyang domain, establishing a firm foundation. And now, through my own efforts, I have reached the second level of the quasi-god realm, only for minor realms below you." Xing Wenshan looked at her and spoke. "To be honest, Seeing you at the 10,000 sex assembly is quite a surprise, but it doesn't change the fact that you are destined to die young. You are nothing more than a discarded piece from my chest. I have an entire game to win, so why would I be disappointed? Yayu's face turned pale with fury. He ignored her, stroking his beard as he continued. But you still have one use left, and that is to become the stepping stone for me to claim first place in the 10th world. I will have to kill these friends of yours, model, and become mere points in my grasp. Ghosts, seize, he roared, as countless ghastly hands erupted from the earth, ensnaring everyone. The Yu and Yin Luo were caught in their grip, their struggles completely useless. Yin Luo cried out, "It's over! I can't move!" Xing Wenshan began to chant, and a swirling miasma of demonic energy coiled around him. The vengeful spirits surged forward, growling with menace. Despite being bound, Qin Nan remained calm. He asked, "What's the deal with these faces?" Xing Wenshan cackled with insane glee. Hey, allow me to enlighten you. This is the signature technique of my evil ghost sect, the malevolent spirit ghost fire. Every single one of these phantom flames is forged from the very soul of a female cultivator. The stronger the female cultivator whose soul is absorbed, the more powerful this technique becomes. And what perfect luck with my dear daughter and this little maiden right here. I can harvest 2 more equality souls. As for you, boy, I'll deal with you after I've absorbed their essences. He then turned to the Yu. My precious daughter, you only have a few years left anyway. Why not become one of my ghost flames and continue to serve me? He grabbed the Yu's chin, rendering her helpless. With a sinister smirk, he added, "Don't worry, I will nurture you well." With that, he raised his hand to unleash the killing blow, shouting, "Now, go and die." But in that instant, the spectral hands binding them all slowly began to fade away. The Yu was free. She looked at her hands, then at Qin Nan, a hint of worry suddenly appearing in her eyes. He stepped to her side and faced her directly, saying, "I thought your father might have a shred of kindness left, so I didn't act sooner. But what he just did to you, you didn't blame him at all." She looked at him reassuringly. "Qin Nan, you don't need to feel guilty. That man who abandoned his wife and child is not worthy of being my father. That murderer is not worthy of being called human. Even if you hadn't intervened, I would have killed him myself." At this, a shadow of sadness crossed Yin Luo's face. She looked at the Yu and stammered, "Sister, the Yu, is it true that you won't live past 30? The Yu didn't try to hide it, replying softly, "Yes, it's true. Years ago, in my DANTIN ... a fiery red egg suddenly appeared. It continuously releases a powerful fire spiritual energy, attacking my organs and my entire body from within. To survive, I began desperately cultivating water attribute spiritual energy to suppress the flames. But it was no use. No matter how hard I trained, I could never fully suppress the fire energy radiating from this egg." As the Yu spoke, a deep sorrow filled her eyes. She continued, "And as this fire energy invaded my body over the years, my own life force couldn't stop my life from shortening. The most optimistic estimate is that I'll only live until I'm 30. Hearing her story, Qin Nan rubbed his chin thoughtfully before speaking. "Have you tried cultivating fire energy yourself? You might be able to refine and absorb its power." "I have tried that. The one time I did, the egg went into a frenzy, releasing several times its usual energy. My body felt like it was being roasted in the world's hottest furnace. The pain was beyond words. That time, it nearly cost me my life," the Yu said. Yin Luo stared at her. "Living to 30 is the optimistic estimate. What if the fire energy's damage is worse than you think?" The Yu blinked at Yin Luo, a hint of sadness on her face. But she had already come to terms with her fate. She managed a faint smile. "Then I can only welcome death a little sooner." Qin Nan couldn't believe she would accept her fate, so he stepped forward, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. "I won't let you die that quickly. It's just a fire egg, isn't it? Even if it's the egg of a phoenix, I will find a way to remove it for you." hearing such powerful words for the first time. The OH's face couldn't help but turn red. But her joy was short-lived. As reality set in, she said, "Qin Nan, thank you for your kindness. But I know my own body best. Removing the fire egg from my dantian is as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Just being able to meet you two in this lifetime has made me very happy." Qin Nan looked at her with determination. "I have a method. It might be very dangerous. I don't know if you'd dare to try." He thought of the devouring Tao he had mastered. "The divine scorching sun in my dantian can refine all things in heaven and earth. It might just be able to refine the fire egg in the U.S. Over the years, I've tried countless methods. Even if I couldn't remove it, I will never give up any chance, no matter how slim or dangerous it is. So, let's do it." The Yu stepped closer, her voice firm. "All right." Qin Nan nodded, then turned to Yin Luo. "Yin Luo, stand guard for us. If any enemies attack, you must hold them off." Yin Luo looked at him, clenching her fist with spirit. "No problem. Leave it to me. You go ahead and heal sister, the US egg." The two found a flat piece of ground and sat down. When the Yu saw Qin Nan hesitating, she asked anxiously, "What is it? Is there a problem?" Qin Nan stammered awkwardly. The Yu, I have to place my hand directly on your dantian, so..." Hearing this, the Yu was startled, her cheeks flushing red. She brought her hands to her chest and looked down. I'm okay with it. Just do it." With her approval, Qin Nan quickly placed his hand over her dantian. He closed his eyes tightly and thought, "Then, please forgive the intrusion. If I can just send my consciousness into her dantian, I should be able to sense the fire egg's existence." Before long, his consciousness found the fiery egg. He felt a surge of joy. "There it is. I can see it." Next, Qin Nan sent his consciousness to touch the egg, determined to absorb it completely. This will finally end the years of suffering the fire energy has caused her. Let's begin. The small core within his consciousness began to unleash its true power. It rapidly drew the fire energy from the egg surface. Seeing it work, Qin Nan was thrilled. "Excellent. The energy on the outside has been absorbed. Now, for the egg itself," he commanded. "More power!" The small core began absorbing with even greater force. Unable to withstand it, the egg started to crack. Qin Nan was thrown back a few steps. "What's happening?" "It's cracking before I've even absorbed it." Before he could even think, a blue creature burst from the cracked egg. It spread its wings and soared high into the air. Qin Nan stared in utter disbelief. This... Inside the egg was an azure bird. No wonder this egg radiates such powerful fire energy. This three-eyed bird is a precursor to the phoenix. The moment he spoke, the divine bird let out a piercing shriek. From its beak, it spat a torrent of unknown black energy. Caught off guard, Qin Nan reacted instantly, throwing his hands up to defend. He struggled to withstand a powerful blow from the divine beast. Analyzing the situation, he realized the egg should have been slowly corroding the Lao's body, absorbing her spiritual energy and stunting her cultivation. But after accumulating power over the years, once it absorbed enough energy, the three-eyed bird would hatch, residing in her dantian, and accelerating her training speed. He thought to himself that the USE's father was an incredibly selfish and cruel man. After abandoning the Yu, he allowed her to fester with hatred. This deep-seated resentment was gradually absorbed by the egg, causing the hatched bird to turn against its host instead of serving her. In fact, it was now accelerating her demise. Gazing at the creature circling above, Qin Nan raised his hand towards it. The only way is to seal and purify this dark, resentful energy. Before he could finish, the bird inhaled deeply and unleashed another blast of pitch-black mist. The dark energy swirled around Qin Nan's body. He grimaced, raising an arm to shield himself. When the assault ceased, the black mist had completely enveloped him, but he appeared completely unharmed. Qin Nan smirked. "Impressive! As expected of a divine beast's bloodline, you're certainly tough to handle. But no matter how formidable you are, you're no match for my divine scorching sun." As he spoke, vibrant streams of light materialized around him, coiling behind his back like loyal serpents, awaiting his command. His eyes were locked on the three-eyed bird. Facing the ferocious spiritual beast, he showed no fear or hesitation. Instead, an overwhelming and arrogant pressure radiated from his entire being. The lights continued to dance behind him. With one hand on his hip and the other raised before him, he commanded in a deep voice, "Devour." Instantly, the power behind him surged into motion. The divine sun blazed with a brilliant golden light, a strange, dark symbol at its core. In that moment, the three-eyed bird's previous attacks were completely absorbed and then reflected back. But because the resentful energy was so immense, a significant amount still remained inside his body. Qin Nan frowned at the lingering darkness. "I didn't expect the resentment that you produced to be this potent." The divine scorching sun continued to absorb the energy, leaving not even the smallest trace behind. Once the purification was complete, he clasped his hands like a grand master, and a colossal alchemy furnace materialized behind him, radiating an aura of immense power. Qin Nan focused his spirit and declared coolly, "Absorption successful. Next, it doesn't matter if you're resentful energy, impure energy, or turbid energy. I will refine you all for my own use." As if commanded, the furnace roared to life, unleashing a purifying inferno that incinerated the black mist. In the blink of an eye, Qin Nan returned, flexing with a triumphant fist raised to the sky. All cleaned up. But he celebrated too soon. Life is never that simple. A three-eyed bird appeared from nowhere, roaring with fury. Qin Nan was smacked by the creature, a direct hit that sent him flying into a tree, a huge lump forming on his head. He could only let out a pathetic cry. After taking the full combo, Qin Nan scrambled back to his feet, but the sight before him made his face turn grim. An unexpected development had occurred. So this is it. The three-eyed bird's divine bloodline has truly awakened within Mo, the Yu. Qin Nan observed the bird now hovering gently above the Yu's head. Suddenly, an explosive aura erupted from her entire body. Yin Luo, standing beside her, was stunned. "Such powerful spiritual energy," she exclaimed. "It seems, sister, the Yu's realm has risen significantly." Just then, the Yu slowly opened her eyes, her gaze as sharp as a blade. She looked down at her own hands. Still dazed and unable to believe it, she mumbled, "I broke through 3 consecutive realms and reached the 5th level of the quasi-god realm." Qin Nan stepped into the role of an expert, explaining, "It turns out the fire egg in your danchin was the dormant bloodline of a divine beast." An unawakened three-eyed bird, Mo the Yu, stared back at him, bewildered. "What's happening to me?" "Before, you were being eroded by the fire energy," he continued. "Because the eggshell hadn't broken and the divine bloodline was dormant, my actions inadvertently triggered its awakening. You will no longer have to suffer from the fire energy's corrosion." Hearing this, Yin Luo was overjoyed. "Does that mean, sister, that you can live past 30? "Not just 30, Qin Nan declared, giving a confident thumbs up. "Even 300 years won't be a problem." Overcome with emotion, the U.S. eyes filled with tears as she quickly tried to hide her face. Seeing her friend crying, Yin Luo asked with concern, "Sister the Yu, what's wrong?" And so, her painful story began to unfold as she poured out her heart about her tragic fate. "At 10 years old, my father brought me to the God realm to live. He had high hopes for me. But that same year, a foreign object appeared in my den, slowing my cultivation and cursing me to die before I reached 30. My father saw me as a flawed pawn and cruelly abandoned me. I tried countless methods to fix it, but every single one ended in failure. Eventually, I learned to accept it and tried to move on. But just as I was about to forget, the father who abandoned me reappeared, tearing open my old wounds once more, reminding me that my life was on a countdown of just a few short years. But now, everything has changed. Not only can I live past 30, I've even obtained a divine beast bloodline, and my cultivation realm has soared." The Yu smiled through her tears, continuing, "These are things that, for me, I never even dared to dream of. Thank you, Qin Nan. Overwhelmed with emotion, she rushed forward and gave him the tightest hug. Caught completely by surprise, Qin Nan's face turned beet red. He awkwardly scratched his head, looking utterly flustered. It was nothing, really. All I did was awaken the divine bloodline that was already inside your I know my own body best. The you replied. I saw everything when you were in my spiritual space, risking your life to fight the three-eyed bird. If you hadn't taken that risk for me, I wouldn't be where I am now, only freed from a short-lived fate, but also blessed with such a powerful divine bloodline. I owe it all to you. The you said, her face blushing. Qin Nan gently pushed her back, placing his hands on her shoulders like a mature elder. We're friends. We venture forward and help each other. Think nothing of it. But don't celebrate just yet. The divine beast's bloodline has corrupted your body for far too long, leaving countless internal wounds. Without immediate treatment, your life remains in peril, he warned gravely. What's more, you can no longer cultivate the water attribute. You must fuse with the divine beast's bloodline and embrace the fire attribute. Any attempt to use water-based techniques will cause a catastrophic elemental clash. The conflict would shatter your den. Heeding his sincere advice, the you nodded with resolve. I understand. From this day forward, I will begin my journey with the fire attribute. Before their conversation could continue, a voice echoed from the all-sect tournament organizers. Only 10 contenders remain in this zone. The competition has reached its most intense stage. All warriors, proceed with caution. Qin Nan turned to Mo Diu, his voice filled with confidence. All right, the all-sect tournament is still underway. We're aiming for the top spot in Zone T. Once we claim the grand prize, the alchemy furnace, I can forge the elixir needed to heal your internal wounds. Just as he finished, a sharp rustle echoed from behind them. The trio whipped around, startled. Yin Luo's reflexes were like lightning. She drew her throwing dagger, instantly, on guard, and yelled, "We have company!" From behind a massive tree, 3 figures from the Qintian Sword Alliance stepped out, led by the infamous Jin, his lips curled into a sneer, his words dripping with sarcasm. Well, look who we have here. What a coincidence. Itching for a fight, are we? Yin Luo was not one to back down. Her eyes blazed with fury, her grip tightening on the dagger, aimed straight at their leader. Jin Shaoxin? Millie scoffed. His voice oozed disdain. I figured your little dark ray divine palace would have been wiped out by the other factions by now. To think you'd actually make it this far. ... to the top 10. Perhaps I underestimated you insects. But our Qin Nan was no one's prey. He stepped forward calmly, his comeback sharp as a blade. And to think hypocrites like you have survived this long, that's what truly surprises me. The words hit their mark. Jin Shaoxin's face twisted in anger. It seems you've chosen the hard way. Do you have any idea who you're talking to? The 3 of us are at the 5th level of the quasi-god realm. We're leagues above you. We'll take them. Enough talk. Attack. With a roar, Jin Shaoxin swung his massive golden blade, aiming to cleave Qin Nan in 2. But Qin Nan moved like a phantom, sidestepping the blow and catching the colossal blade with ease. He didn't even break a sweat. Jin Shaoxin's jaw dropped in disbelief. Panic flared in his eyes. What? Impressive. You actually caught a strike using 30% of my power. Meanwhile, the other battles raged on. Yin Huangshuan unleashed her talisman arts. Sky opening. Slash. A colossal spiritual axe materialized, crashing down towards Yin Luo and the Yu. Boom! The ground exploded where they stood, but the 2 women narrowly dodged the blast. Seeing this, Tong Boxi sneered. You might dodge a talisman. ... but can you dodge my speed? In an instant, he vanished. Before Yin Luo could even react, he reappeared before her, landing a brutal blow to her stomach. She cried out once before collapsing. With Yin Luo Dao, the assailant charged toward Mo. The Yu. All the while, Qin Nan was still locked in combat, his heart racing for his friends. He thought grimly, Yin Luo and Mo the Yu's cultivation levels are lower. They're on the verge of defeat. Sensing Qin Nan's distraction, Jin Shaoshan pressed his advantage, forcing the blade down. You're trapped here with me, Qin Nan. Forget about trying to save your friends. Now, face a strike with 50% of my strength, he roared, swinging again. But reality was about to slap him in the face. Once again, Qin Nan caught the blade effortlessly, as if it were a mere toy. Jin Shaoshan's confidence completely shattered. The color drained from his face. He couldn't believe his eyes. Gods, when did he get this strong? So easily block 50% of my power. Realizing he was outmatched, it was time to call for backup. Seeing the tables turn, Yin Huangshuan unleashed another talisman, this time enchanting Jin Shaoshan with incredible speed. A wicked grin spread across his face. Hey, my thanks. With this speed boost, let's see you block me now. Qin Nan died. He unleashed a furious storm of slashes, but the outcome remained unchanged. Qin Nan blocked every single strike, his expression unreadable, but his patience was wearing dangerously thin. Qin Nan tightened his grip, trapping the blade. His opponent trembled, unable to wrench his weapon free. Now, it was time to teach this fool some manners. With his free hand, he unleashed a palm strike, sending Jin Shaoshan flying. He claimed the golden sword for himself, leveling it at its former master. This is not how you use a sword. Jin Shaoshan stumbled to his feet, stammering, What do you mean? You use it, ... Like this. Qin Nan tossed the sword into the air, leaping to catch it in a stunning display. Heaven-burning style, Azura's path. Annihilate the swine of this world. With a mighty roar, he charged, blade in hand, towards the trembling Jin. The villain's face went deathly pale, his jaw hanging open in utter disbelief. As Qin Nan swung, his immense power was too much for the weapon to handle. Jin Shaoshan's prized sword shattered into a million pieces. Startled, Jin Shaoshan scrambled back. Qin Nan's slash cut through empty air. He lowered the hilt and spoke softly. A pity. Your sword was too fragile. Now, as for our friend, Jin Sh... He finally realized he hadn't just poked a hornet's nest, he'd kicked it. He collapsed to the ground, pointing a trembling finger at Qin Nan. Just what have you become? HL. Did you get so terrifyingly strong? Nearby, Yin Huangshuan was just as stunned. But Qin Nan was only at the second level of the quasi-god realm before. How is he this powerful now? Even Tong Buxi froze, stammering in shock. Is he a monster? Qin Nan gazed down at the trembling man on the floor. He let the broken hilt fall from his hand. Then, turning to the other two, he raised an eyebrow. So, are you two next? Faced with Qin Nan's blazing glare, both of them frantically waved their hands in surrender. They thought, we couldn't even win 3. A 2-on-1 fight would be suicide. A cold sweat broke out on Yin Huangshuan's brow. This Qin Nan. He's definitely above the 5th level of the quasi-god realm. He might even be at the very peak. Suddenly, the tense atmosphere was broken. A mocking voice echoed from the distance. Well now, what a lively scene we have here. It seemed one drama was ending, only for another to begin. Qin Nan turned toward the sound of the new arrival. His face soured at the sight of Du Yuzi's crew. He snapped. You, again. I let you go last time, and now you're back for more trouble. Du Yuzi smirked. Don't you get it? The only powers left in this zone are the Dark Light Divine Palace, the Qin Heavenly Sword Alliance, the Poison Dragon Hall, and our Extreme Dao Sect. Isn't it only natural we'd come for you? Qin Nan nodded slowly. So, that's how it is. From 15 factions down to 4. Things moved pretty fast. Du Liuli chimed in, with our big sister Hu Feng from the Extreme Dao Sect making a move. How could it not be fast? She pointed to a towering woman beside her. boasting proudly. Our big sister Hu Feng is a quasi-deity at the 8th level, and she hails from the top power in the 10th war zone. She's the #1 disciple of the extreme Dao sect. Wiping out other factions is child's play for her. This muscular big sister Hu Feng, relying on her imposing physique, pointed at Qin Nan and declared arrogantly, "That's right, you're the next to be gravely wounded and eliminated. No one can stop my march to first place." Qin Nan just laughed, replying nonchalantly, "Fine by me. Since you've come to my doorstep, it saves me the trouble of hunting you down one by one." Hu Feng's face twisted in anger as she pointed at him. Such arrogance. You're truly courting death. And now, for a masterclass in fanning the flames, brought to you by Doozy. He glanced behind him with a cunning glint in his eyes and said, "Big sister Hu Feng, there's something you don't know, isn't there? Your younger brother, Hu Long, was killed by this very man, Qin Nan." "What? It was him?" Upon hearing this, the big sister officially lost her mind. Her fury erupted to its peak as a multicolored aura blazed around her, ready to tear Qin Nan to shreds at a moment's notice. Hu Feng was radiating pure rage, her hair practically standing on end. She roared, "Brat, today I'll pound you into meat paste. Not even the domain lord could save you." Seeing his plan succeed, Doozy smirked with satisfaction. "Qin Nan, you humiliated me before. Now it's your turn to taste what it's like to be crushed by someone stronger." Hu Feng stomped, cracking the earth beneath her. Then she charged forward like a raging bull, screaming as she flew, "Die!" But Qin Nan simply raised one hand to block, looking incredibly casual, which brought her to a dead stop. A massive explosion ripped through the air. An immense pressure wave kicked up a storm of dust and sand. Doozy and Dululi were thrown back by the force, shouting in utter disbelief. "What is happening?" Hu Feng is a 7th level quasi-deity. Her full power punch was actually blocked by Qin Nan. Is this a dream? Is something like this even possible in reality? Jin Shaoshan, standing nearby, was equally stunned. If a punch like that hit us, I'm afraid we'd die on the spot. And yet, Qin Nan just took it. This is just terrifying. Hu Feng pulled her hand back, staring at her own palm in confusion. "What in the hells?" "He actually blocked my punch." Her anger flared once more. She clenched her fist, and a gem on her hand began to glow. Green stone talismans flew towards her, assembling into an incredibly cool-looking gauntlet. Her power instantly skyrocketed. Hu Feng screamed, "If that's the case, then I'll have to get serious." Doozy sneered to himself. With an imperial spirit treasure in hand, Hu Feng can now fight against even a quasi-deity at the 8th level. No matter how strong Qin Nan is, there's no way he's reached that realm yet. Bring it on. With that roar, Hu Feng charged at Qin Nan once more. He still stood his ground to block the blow, but this time it clearly wasn't as easy. The sheer force pushed him back a considerable distance. Qin Nan grimaced, trying to suppress the pain, thinking, the power behind this muscle-bound sister's punch is absolutely ferocious. My hand is actually throbbing. Hu Feng laughed with confidence. Hey, little brat, can't handle my true strength, can you? In that case, die and pay for my brother's life. She unleashed a relentless barrage of earth-shattering punches, her mouth chanting a deadly mantra. Die, 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 die. Qin Nan struggled to parry the blows. After a moment, appearing to be overwhelmed, he dropped to one knee. Seeing her chance, Hu Feng pressed her advantage. But then, Qin Nan slammed his foot into the earth. An explosive wave of energy erupted, cracking the surrounding mountains, causing fire to spew from the fissures. Seeing this from afar, Jin Shaoshan was horrified. Heavens, what is this? Terrifying killing intent. Doozy, ever the optimist, was still gloating. Qin Nan. This time, You're dead for sure. Hu Feng is definitely going to flatten you into a pancake. He turned to see Du Lu Li walking over, who added, Yu Zi, we can finally vent all the anger we've held since Qin Nan defeated us. Seeing Qin Nan in peril, Mo Yuyu and Yin Luo prepared to rush in to help. Quick, we have to go help Qin Nan. But they were immediately intercepted by the other two. You want to help Qin Nan?